Should probably
Hey
not.
everybody, Roar the Lions UK, Matt and Ash here. We're just getting set up and well, apparently we're roasting each other. But how you doing, boys?
Doing good, doing good.
I just really want to know what sort of club Ash is going to after his party histrionics tomorrow. The world needs to know.
I'll send. Well, as you saw Monday night, I will happily post clips in the Discord.
He was singing.
Oh no, what were you singing?
I can't even remember.
He was singing Toto.
Of course, I was. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
That's what I said.
acceptable. Nothing wrong
You
with a
know,
bit of Toto.
I was also like 6 Honolulu blue kamikaze shots down by that point.
I was recounting my work's Christmas do to Sarah when we met back up because her Christmas do yesterday as well. I was talking about it and I was reeling off all of the drinks I had. And the longer my chat went on, the more I went, how am I alive? How has this happened? It was, we started drinking at 5 in the afternoon and I went to sleep at 3:30. And
Jeez.
yeah, it was particularly heavy. I think I probably had 3-4 beers, 10 cocktails. What else did we have? There was some other crap going down. I also spent a lot of money because I was buying drinks for the team, which
Man's getting old. That's not much.
well, yeah, right. Oh, I felt
It happens to us all.
unfortunately so. What have we got here? Eric saying, worried we might have another Tampa Bay game, high scoring, but that fear of a bad day. Better it happens now than in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Also, Buffalo are significantly better than Tampa. It's not that close. Tampa are a good team when they're fully fit, but I don't know. I think that we're talking about a very different level of side. Don't know about you guys.
I think Tampa have got a hell of a lot better defense than they do. I'd rather face Buffalo's defense than Tampa's. When fully healthy.
Yes. I mean, when we faced Tampa, it definitely wasn't fully healthy. We were talking about destroying them, and that didn't come to pass.
You gave Tampa's defense to Buffalo, they would win Super Bowls for years.
Mm-hmm.
Would they also have to have the head coach in order to call the defense?
I'm sure they'd accept that.
I don't know. Sean McDermott's going to get shouted to the coach of the year this year, I'm telling you right now. Just because
he's playing in a garbage division. Like the division alone should rule him out of it. You're playing the Jets, the Patriots, and the Commanders. I think they got like half a dozen wins between a lot of them.
Jets, Patriots, and
Dolphins. Sorry, you got like half a dozen wins combined between the three of it. Like we've literally got 2 9-win teams in our division. We've beaten them both, so that should rule him out.
Frank asked, do you all believe in this team now? Call can you Ant-Man? I have no idea what those last 5 words mean, but we all believe, right? We've believed for some time in this team.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we all had them at 13 or 14 wins, didn't we? Pretty sure that's believing in your team.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that's giving me hope is that in the predictions, I had us running off the last 8 games in the slate. I think I had us winning 8 straight. I did. I had us winning all 8 straight. So, no. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 8. 8 in a row. So we've got 4 down. Got 4 to go.
I'm pretty sure I only had 13 or 14 because I had some of them losing them at the end of the year when they were resting players.
Yeah,
so,
you had at San Francisco versus Minnesota as losses.
Yeah, and that was for resting purposes.
Yeah, so for you, we won 7 in a row, then lost 2, and then we won 6 in a row, and then lost 2, which I thought was quite interesting. Yeah, I was the only person who managed to stretch to 14 wins, and that now seems conservative, which is fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I'm still going to be wrong, though. Not optimistic enough.
I got a feeling.
I mean,
I got a feeling that we might win the remaining games,
it-
apart from losing to the Vikings at the end. But it won't matter.
no, that would be the ideal world. You can have 2 weeks off and get everybody healthy.
I'm just filling in actually the predictions from last week. How much did we win by last week? It was 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was last second. It was the field goal.
Oh, Ryan McCluskey predicted a 3-point win. He gets the green check mark. Right. 2 points for me, 2 points for Ash. Tom predicted 1 right. Oh, actually, hang on.
Yeah.
Is this oh, no, that's the right game. It's the right game. It's the right game. Tom's actually got the last 4.
Oh.
Ryan gets 5 points. Ryan gets 2. Ant gets 2. Do you want to know the updated scores on the prediction league?
Yes, please.
Okay. In first place, with a score of 25 points, he's hidden his camera, but he is in the lead. Anthony Fitzpatrick is in the lead. Number 2, he's not on the show a huge amount. He might be back on Monday to tell us all about Detroit. Ryan Farden is second with 24 points, only 1 point behind. I am third with 23, 1 point behind that. Ryan McCluskey is next with 22, 1 point behind me. Ash, you're next, 2 points back from that, 20. Steve is 4 points behind that with 16. And Tom has done himself no favours all year. He's another 2 behind with 14.
I'll take not being last. That's good enough for me.
At this point, if Tom wanted to win, he'd have to bink more than 2 exactly right in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
That's rough, man. Oh, okay. Many thanks to Jeff Hurley for the $10 super sticker. Appreciate you very much, Jeff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey to everyone else in the chat who we haven't said hello to. So Experiments in there from Twitch says happy Friday all. Big Aries says love isn't always on time. Another love-related pun. Love it. And It's Genuine Ostrich, which is not a handle that I recognise, but it's probably just my memory, says, howdy fellas, cheers to an exciting football weekend. Can't wait. We are the game of the week with good reason. Also, haven't said hello to anyone actually yet, so I'll reel off all of the unique names. Marker 301, Marcus, Frank the Tank, Taff Cadet, Jody Carithers, Carlton Wood, Chris Odin's in there too. Brent DeWitt, Aaron Scheurer. I'm sorry, Aaron. Jeff Hurley, aforementioned. Marcus, LFB. And I think that is it. If you haven't had a shout out, come say hi, and we'll do that now. And then we're going to get going with this because it is past 11 o'clock in the evening over here. I want that crown this year for the Predictions League. I want it. I'm so close.
But not on top.
I mean, you predicted losses in the last 2 games and I've predicted wins. We've both predicted wins in the next 2. So unless one of us gets it absolutely right, we're going to have the same amount different going into the final 2 weeks where we've been completely different. So I've got a shot. I've got a shot. Did I not say hi to Eric Kranjak? I didn't say hi to Eric Kranjak. My bad. Thank you, Mile Marker. Eric says Detroit's about to dominate football for a few years with Dan and Brad running the Lions and Michigan Wolverines using NIL. It's going to be a run. And Aaron says it's pronounced as if it's spelt Skur. Aaron Skur. Okay, that makes sense. So SCH is Sk rather than Sh. But that makes sense because it's schedule in America, isn't it? So, Skur. Sounds like if a northern person was trying to say scared.
So,
oh no, Northern Irish. Skur.
So it's exactly like Icelandic yogurt. Skur.
Is that not skier?
Skur. You say skur. I've been there half a dozen times. I've listened to them say it. So
okay, fair enough. I just listened to their adverts where they try and pronounce it. They say skier, don't they?
You go up there and most of them say skier. like
I,
that.
I,
It's not as
That's
high
really
pitched on the end.
Fair. I am enjoying the new adverts from a certain car maker who are just basically saying to people, "You can't pronounce our name." Have you guys seen that? A certain Japanese car manufacturer, Japanese, South Korean, Japanese, I think, who have a famously not a difficult name to pronounce, just one that everyone's been mispronouncing for a long time.
Japanese is meant to be incredibly hard language to master, though, so not so easy.
Hyundai.
Yeah.
I got there eventually in my brain. I was there. I was going through that. I was listening for him.
So Family Guy got it right then when he does the advert for Hyundai and he's taking the miss out. He says it that way on there. Peter Griffin does. Wilkins, Hyundai, and Subaru. We sell Hyundais and Subarus.
And I think that you're about to make a best friend, and actually this is a band that I quite like as well, but McExperiment, otherwise known as James McClure. Well, I'm sorry, but Ant has an affinity for the country specifically, so sorry, Ash, I wasn't thinking of you when it was coming to this.
What?
McExperiment, or James A. McClure, says, Ant, have you ever heard of Sigur Rós? The band alone makes me want to visit Iceland. I'm pretty sure you're a fan of theirs, right?
I've got every single Sigur Rós album in existence, and Johnson's solo stuff, and all their solo stuff. I've seen them live in Reykjavik. Fucking awesome. Their music is absolutely tremendous. So when I go to Iceland, I go to a festival up there called Iceland Airwaves. At the beginning of every November, they have like the best of Icelandic music there, and there are so many good bands out there. I could write you an entire playlist of Icelandic bands if you want to listen to some great music. It's a fantastic country for music. But Sigur Rós I love and adore completely.
McExperiment says, I saw them live in Detroit, but the seats were horrible. Under the second floor, still the concert was awesome. I'm not sure if I've ever seen them live before. I think they've gone to Glastonbury, but I'm not sure that I've seen them.
There was one I wanted to go over to. They went to Jodrell Bank, which is a observatory. And they had like a big light show out near the massive observatory telescope there. And my friend went, and it's like, I was so utterly jealous at the time. It's one of the greatest shows I've ever done, that was. But it's amazing. It is a surreal experience. They've been going for a very long time now. I've been going since the 90s, but still great.
Marcus just said, I picture Viking metal when you say Icelandic music. Sigur Rós could not be more different.
So Icelanders love electro. You get a ton of electro music in Iceland, and it's fantastic. You do get heavy metal in there, but your heavy metal comes from Finland and Sweden, and some from Norway. They're where the heavy metal comes from. There are some heavy metal Icelandic bands, but not too many of them. Yeah, they like their electro music, and it's fucking awesome.
Oh, McExperiment says Sigur Rós played with an orchestra in Chicago this year, and he's killing himself for not going.
Oh man,
that would have been so cool.
That would have been. Oh, that's. If I'd have flown, if I'd have had the sort of money, if I had the money to just go and do things around the world, I would have gone to that.
Yeah.
Like when they get the full set out with it as well. If you've never seen it, there's this wonderful. They released a DVD called Heimer, which means home, and it is them filming themselves driving around Iceland, playing concerts in like the tiniest of venues. They're like at a little church in the middle of nowhere with about 20 people there listening to them. And they just do all these small, intimate gigs. They set it up, and they make instruments out of everything. They go to like this slate mine and create drums and stuff out of slate and all sorts. They're so ingenious, but it's called Heimer. It's a wonderful DVD. I would recommend you watch it. You'd probably stream it from somewhere as well, but just for the concerts alone, fucking amazing. Yeah. I just went 1 year and absolutely loved it.
Okay.
It's either one of those, every single album changes. They don't do the same music twice.
Yeah.
They make a completely different album every time they do a new one, so it's always proper rejigged up, and it's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just set me going now. I've not been for a while. I used to go every single year, and I've not been for a while, so I need to go back.
Yeah.
At some point. Actually, I mean, one of the greatest things when I went up to Airwaves one year, I there was a singer-songwriter from Nottingham there. She's called Keto. I don't know whether you've ever heard or seen of her before, but she's like
I
a
have heard of her, yeah.
she's got
I haven't
like
seen her.
long blonde hair. She was just sat in this little bar because what the great thing about this thing is it's held all over the city, so you can just walk into a random bar and there'll be someone singing there. And she's like I got all these Icelanders, Americans, Canadians. The Americans and Canadians love it. And then I was just in this one bar and this lass is like, "Oh, I'm from Nottingham in England." I'm like, "Minutes down,
Yeah.
oh, not 10 minutes, but half an hour down the road from me." That I went up and said hello to her at the end, and so she's still quite small at the minute, but it was awesome. You just meet all sorts of weird random people there. It's so fun.
Experiment said about the movie, yeah, I watched the start of the movie, need to get back to it. I'm just worried about what I would eat in Iceland. I think it'll just be 90-day-old salty fish.
No, Icelandic food is like when I was a kid, I loved fish. When I was a teenager, I didn't touch it. I absolutely hated fish and everything, and it was the first time I ever went up there. Proper Arctic char for the first time. We went to this really nice restaurant, and I had it, and it's really, really good. Like the seafood quality up there is amazing. You get like the bread that they bake in the ground. They use the geothermal heat to bake bread in the ground. You make all these hot soups, stews, stuff like that. I think it's a misconception that it's just you go up there and you're eating raw whale or something like that. It couldn't be further from the truth. They are very culinary gifted as well. But the seafood's to absolutely die for. Would be on par with like your Boston clam chowder and stuff like that over there. Like that's just the level you're at. You're right up here.
Africa Data, nice to see you're focusing on the vitally important issues. I mean, when
Always.
when you're 12 and 1, you can afford to kick back a little.
Technically, the Vikings trying to steal all their culture from them, so it's relevant. It's stealing the thunderclap and the and all that. Just get some original material and call yourself a different name.
All right, shall we do this? All right,
Yeah.
Here we go.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, episode 314, Locking Down Fort Knox. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick and Ashley Soden. How you doing, boys?
Doing great, doing great.
Blagging a bit, I'm not gonna lie. I've been at work all day. I've literally just got in through the door, and I was meant to stop off and get some food on the way home, and I tried to, and it was this takeaway that I absolutely love, the only one in Johnfield that was still open. They're like, it's a 50-minute wait. I'm like, God damn it. So I had no food, so I've come back to my house, and I'm living now off 4 squares of Dairy cheese and a third of a bottle of chocolate Baileys. So, there we go. That is where I'm at. So I might just keel over during this show, but there you go.
I can't decide if that's awesome or bleak.
That is how you tell people that you're single without telling people that you're single.
Oh man, I love it.
So my chocolate Baileys is my sustenance. Here we go for the day.
I mean, it's calories.
It's good stuff as well. I had half a bottle during our show on Monday. I've got the other half for now, so there we go.
Winner. Love it. Right, we're getting on with this. This is our Buffalo Bills preview show, which of course is happening this Sunday afternoon. But first, please do join our Discord channel. Great place to hang out with us all year long. Link is in the live chat right now and in the audio description of the podcast. College football podcast. Friday was earlier this week, and what did he talk about?
Yeah, we recapped championship week. So obviously, all the championship games were decided weekend just gone, and then we went through the FCS. That was the second round of their playoffs. The quarterfinals are tonight and tomorrow. So if you like your FCS football, then they're in the serious stuff now. And then had a look at all the transfer portal stuff, head coach stuff. Obviously, Bill chose till about half an hour after the show ended to make his move to UNC official, which really annoyed me. But hey ho, it is what it is. So well, yeah, go check it out. I even spoke nicely about Florida State, so rare one. There you go. I think they've made some kick-ass coaching hires, so well done to them.
There we go. All right, please don't forget to like this episode and sub to the podcast. You guys know what to do with that by now. And please do help us out at Lions Nation Unite, as well as Herman Moore's project to bring the best in Lions content creators together. And we're Twitch affiliated, YouTube monetized. There's a tip jar down below if you enjoy the show, if you like what you hear, if you are that way inclined, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. Right. news before we get into the preview. And there's quite a bit to go through on the Detroit side of things, but just to start with the one Buffalo-related thing. Due to heavy snow in the Buffalo area, the Bills' practice on Thursday was cancelled and conducted entirely remotely. And then there was a travel ban in the area for today, which means they haven't done anything today either, I would imagine, apart from talking on Zoom. So, Bills heavily disrupted in their preparations for this game, which is no bad thing for us. On the Detroit side, we know that we are wearing the alternative black unis for Sunday's game, which is the second time this season, which is fantastic. It means that we can use those, and Ash is sporting one of those right now. Lions have raised their season ticket prices for next season on average by 24%. The Lions have come out and said by Rob Wood that this just about raises the tickets to about the league's average season ticket price. So despite them almost more than doubling over the last 2 years, their contention is that they were just wildly underpriced when we were poor. Of course, the fans have... There's been a massive outpouring, an outcry of them seemingly punishing loyal fans. I definitely see it both sides of that, unfortunately, but there we go. Other bits and pieces, Jameson Williams has been encouraging his teammates to be more visible in Detroit, and himself, Kirby, Terrion Arnold, and Carlton Davis were holding a winter coat drive in Detroit, and it was great to see them doing their bit in the community. And then Aaron Glenn, be it accidentally or on purpose, has let slip that he has been mentoring linebacker coach Kelvin Shepherd to be defensive coordinator of the future, saying, I think he's damn close, if not there already, to be able to do that. And to come to you first, I mean, the season tickets is obviously a big bit of news. And then Kelvin Shepherd, we've been talking about him all along as the potential heir apparent, but that's now seemingly being conferred by the team.
Yeah, I always, when I see season ticket prices for stuff over there, it makes me eternally grateful for the ones over here. Because like I was saying in Discord the other day, I get mad that I have to pay 350 quid to go and watch 23 games for Chesterfield in the year. And then sometimes you get games in the cup free with it and stuff like that. And over there, it's 8 games or 9 games and you're paying several grand. And it's like, oh my God, that is a lot more. I guess you are watching guys at the top of the profession and I'm watching 4th league football. So here you go. But like you say, it is what it is. I think it is a shame because, you know, if you are so far behind league average prices, that's fine. But how you get to league average, I think you have to, you have to get there a little slower, if you know what I mean. Just you're taking one big leap there and going, oh, it's still league average. Yeah, but to the everyday man, like you budget. Like, I have to budget. I live on my own here. I have to budget for every single penny I've got. When you're having a raise to that degree, it can be a lot of money. And like, you see, like 800-900 a grand a month. You're like, oh my God, you're paying this out there. You've got to be. I think they could have done it differently. I think you could have done it over a little bit of a period of time where, because it's very hard just to dosh that up right away. And like you say, if it is making fans go away, you would like to see them do something, especially after everything they've been through for the team. I get the team need to make money, and that's understandable, but I think you could have gone about it a little bit differently and not done it so steeply. That is my point there. As for Kelvin, well, I think we all kind of knew this, really. Dan's talked about Kelvin a lot, about how he's given him the freedom to coach. He's shown a lot of trust and faith in him, and you don't do that if you've got bigger designs and bigger plans for them. And a lot of people have said, Aaron Glenn never leaves. We might like Shep to take over here. So, it's nice that these discussions have been had, and knowing that we've got guys in the building who, if Aaron does leave, are ready to go. It shows a good succession program, shows we're training guys up right. You hire from within, you do it the right way. They know the system here. They know the players more importantly than anything as well. That's what good teams do. You promote guys from within and you keep your system going. So it's a positive bit of news for him. And hopefully, we will see him. I feel like in 12 months, very well, he might well be, but we'll wait and see.
Ash, what do you think on all these bits of news?
Yeah, to go to the Shep stuff first. Yeah, I completely agree. And we've set up the right support system for him if and when it happens. Deciding more with the if now because it seems very likely AG's getting head coaching job in this off season. obviously being mentored by AG, but you've also now got two relatively experienced coaches on the other side as well, with Tal Williams, who's been in the league for donkey's years. You've got the Shay Townsend, who's been around the league as well for a good 5-7 years. So they're guys that can be sounding boards for Shep. And potentially, I know it's another name that keeps getting linked because obviously he's worked with Dan before, but Dennis Allen, who has probably found by now that after 2 head coaching stints, he's not cut out for it, but he's a damn good DC. Having him as that sort of like advisory role that seemingly I know it's happened before, but we really made into one of our big things with John Fox doing it a couple of years ago. The first year we had the former Packers guy doing it. Just someone to be a sounding board for these sort of rookie coordinators. We'll have that set up for him. So I'm all for it. I know especially Jeremy and the rest of Pride Detroit have been bigging up Shep since day one. I remember when he first got hired, and obviously that was the Moan Clark draft cycle. I was like, yeah, look what he's done with this guy at LSU. Like, I think he was a 3-star recruit and turned him into a damn good linebacker who unfortunately had the neck injury and therefore fell in the draft processes and now unfortunately out of the league after being cut by the Cowboys. But he's got the stuff there, and you've seen what he's done this year with the linebacker room. Like, the only ones now fit from the opening 53 on the roster are Jack Campbell and Ben Neiman. Everyone else has come through the door, if it be the day after cut downs with Nowaski or Ezekiel Turner, Jamal Adams, all these guys we've had to bring in the door because of injuries. He's kept that linebacker room going and helped promoted sort of helped guys grow to the point where Ezekiel Turner, someone who's a converted safety, who's been a special teamer, now could realistically be on the 53 next year in replacement of someone who's seen as a big guy here in JRM. Like, that's how much of a good guy he is in terms of motivating and promoting talent. So if when AG goes, I'm all for Shep being DC. As for the season ticket prices, again, I'm kind of glad, obviously, that I can see it happening because it's happened to my team as well. A couple of years ago, we were down in the second tier of football. Wasn't great. We've come back up and now suddenly we're in the upper echelons of the sport. We're in the top 6, Champions League. It happened this season where I think since that Champions League championship season 5-6 years ago, our season tickets have gone up by about 150%, charging £100 a ticket for Champions League night. So that's, if you're going to see all the home games, there's 4 games. That's £400. It's more than that pays for the season ticket. That just shows you it's unfortunately how the football business works. I know, obviously, Ron Woods had this kind of thing before where he's kind of used a business head for some situations, removed the sort of fan aspect and kind of lost our fans a bit. Hopefully we're not going down that route again. But at the same time, I can see getting it to league average, paying a league average price for what arguably could be a dynasty might be a good thing. But yeah, it's just a big increase over 2 years, going up so much. 10% increase max a year. There should be that kind of thing. How I know it's mentioned here with our ones, but the kind of German season ticket system, that would be a damn lot better. I know it'll probably lose the NFL a bit of money, but it needs to be fairer to the fans.
All right, let's get on with the preview. So the Bills are 10-3. Their expected win total per Pro Football Reference is 9.3. So a little bit lucky, but not a huge amount lucky. They're about where they should be. Their season started off with wins versus Arizona, at Miami, and versus Jacksonville. Then a couple of losses in a row at Baltimore and at Houston. Wins followed at the Jets versus Tennessee, at Seattle versus Miami, at Indianapolis versus Kansas City versus San Francisco before losing last week against the LA Rams in LA. So they reeled off quite a few wins in a row there. Although you may note there's not a huge amount of quality wins in there apart from the last couple of weeks. Obviously, San Francisco started getting good recently. Kansas City, they beat... No, they didn't. Yeah, they did. Thank you. I'm being an absolute fool. But otherwise, we're talking about the Cardinals when they went fantastic at the beginning of the year. Miami maybe early as a quality win. But then, Jets, Tennessee, Seattle in the middle of their bad period, Miami in the middle of their bad period, the Colts in the middle of their bad period. It's been a weird season for the Buffalo Bills in terms of their opponents.
Even then, to the San Francisco game, that was in really bad weather. No, like you saw what happened this week with San Francisco. It was similar weather for the Bills, their game. So again, that's one you kind of have to chuck out. I know we'll probably come on to it in a bit, but people who've listened to the Detroit Lions breakdown have probably heard what the Bills' win-loss record is against top 16 offenses compared to bottom 16 offenses, and it bears fruit here with what you just said.
Going more specifically into this game, Buffalo come in slight underdogs. They are 6-5, which is plus 120 in American money. Detroit are 7-5 on, that's minus 140, which translates to Detroit being minus 2.5 on the spread, with the over-under being 54.5 points. That's all per bet 365. Injury report-wise, the Lions are almost completely clear. Trevor Nowaski suffered a concussion in Wednesday's practice. He did not practice Thursday or Friday, which means he's failed the protocol for this week, so cannot play. Everyone else who was out last week, they're all back, and none of them have a designation. So that is DJ Reader, Taylor Decker, and Josh Pascal, and then the players injured Levi was out as well, wasn't he? And then Ali McNeil was injured in the game. He's past concussion protocol. All of those people are not even questionable. They're all going to be a go. Buffalo have a very long injury list, but only one player confirmed out, starting cornerback Rousseau Douglas. The people who are really the ones who are going to be focused on here in terms of the questionable people, both safeties in Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp are questionable. Dalton Kincaid is questionable at tight end, but he's been in full practice all week, so he's probably going to be fine. The other things to mention are just, I guess, the people who are definitely going to be a go. Keon Coleman, the wide receiver, is making his first start in a month, I believe. And Amari Cooper is on the injury report with a wrist, but he has no designation either. Also of note, Matt Milano has no designation too in his third game back off IR, I think now. He's had a couple, I think, since he came back. So a long list, but only one out and no one doubtful. 8 people in total are questionable, if I can add up. So that is what it is. I'll go into the depth chart shortly. There's no one of note on IR for Buffalo. There are 4 or 5 players, but none of them are particularly big. The overall stats I'll talk about now, and then I'll go into offense and defense specifically in a bit. Overall, this team is 17th per PFF, but 4th in overall DVOA and 2nd in overall EPA. So there's a massive difference between what PFF thinks it's seeing and what DVOA and EPA think is one of the top units in the NFL. And to come to you first, that injury report for them is pretty long, but for us is pretty tidy. I mean, only Nowaski out and everyone else back. And then just, I don't know what you think about this, but just with PFF having them as a middle-of-the-pack team and DVOA and EPA saying they're absolutely brilliant, I mean, what do you think overall about this Bills team?
I mean, come on, you're really going to ask me that question there. I don't care what PFF says. I really don't. I have been very critical of the Bills over the years, as mine and yours. Tussles over them will have indicated, but you know they do look a better team this year. Everyone thought the window had closed for them maybe last year, myself included. I thought that was it; they were done. But then this year, maybe they've surprised people. They lost a couple of early games. People sort of threw them off the radar, didn't think much of them. And then they've just put together this really good run of form up until last week where they've been a lot better. And it comes down to the fact that it's the one bugbear I've had with them for years. They've always just had Josh Allen doing all the work for them. So when someone comes up against Josh Allen who can stop him, they've never had the run game to complement him, and that's where they lose the really big games. This year, they've ran the ball better. It's still not great. Like, the 2 leading guys got, 4.6 and 4.4 yards per carry. It's not world-beating, but when you've got Josh Allen as your quarterback, that's more than enough. That is very serviceable numbers. Cooks look better. He's got a good backup cast there. Obviously, Josh Allen's a dual threat, and that just makes them really dangerous as an offense. You know, it gives them more time of possession on the field. You've got less chance to keep up with the way they just put people down because, you know, that defense has kept teams down to some low numbers this year, but they generally get in front, get ahead, and then start taking the ball away, forcing teams to chase, and you can't keep up with them. So this is a better Bills team than we've seen in a while, and then you've got to give them credit for that. And then at the same point, as has been mentioned by you both, I don't think much of the schedule either. Again, the wins in there, people are saying, we've not had a quality win in there, and I
Are
still
people
think
saying
for
that?
us, we've had some good wins,
I,
but
I don't.
when
The Green Bay wins, to both of them are quality wins. What are people talking about if they're saying that?
I
That's
think
insane.
I think for us, in terms of like an elite win, like Baltimore blew us away last year. We lost to San Francisco. This will be the one where people will be looking like people are starting to believe in us now, but it's like true quality contenders. I think the biggest skeptics will want to see us win one like this, but I think this Bills team is eminently beatable. It's they're going to be dangerous, right? They're going to be one of the hardest opponents of the season, but I do think their ferocity is blown out of proportion a little bit. You see the teams who have beaten them, and generally what they've done is one, they've kept that run game in check, which is the easiest way to beat them. And then, Allen has to do too much. I mean, the Texans did a wonder job on him. What was he, about 9 of 30? You never see those numbers from him in games. But, if you're making him do it all the time, you're putting too much pressure, you get into him, forcing him out the pocket, your secondaries protect him well, you can shut them down. And then you can put the screws to that defense, which I don't think it's as good as the numbers make out to be. I think there's weaknesses here, but obviously you've got to give him due respect. But yeah, I look at this. I think we've got a better team. It's great that we're healthy because a lot of our players coming back are the trench players. DJ, Taylor, Aleem, all these guys been healthy. Like our trenches are better than their trenches on both sides of the ball, hands down. That's what will win us this game, and why I'm confident that we will.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, spoiler alert, Ant basically spoiled two-thirds of my preview for tomorrow. So
Oh,
thanks for
sorry,
that.
sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm half joking. Like, we all know by this point that my previews are usually me looking at the defensive and offensive lines by this point. But yeah, I agree. So to go back to what I said earlier, the Bills, when they face bottom 16 offenses, are undefeated. When they face top 16 offenses, which I believe are the Rams, which are 16th, San Francisco just getting there, KC getting there, I think, and then it's Seattle, Miami, and Baltimore. They are 3-3, and technically should be 2-4 because they had to have an absolute wonder job where everything went right for them to beat KC. When they face a really good offense, kind of like ours, they struggle because their defense, it's definitely got some good guys on there. Like we'll come on to it later, but like Greg Rousseau's having a really good year. Ed Oliver, I know he's not been special this year, but he can rush the passer like anyone else. Matt Milano is slowly falling off, but he's still a damn good linebacker. Christian Benford, their corner, is good. He can hold down a receiver, but everywhere else, it's just mediocre. And they don't play like a team. Like, okay, yeah, we don't have superstars outside of maybe Z and Jack and Kirby and Branch right now. Like everyone else is kind of good to average to, obviously, with some of our linebacker room right now. So the players are playing like replacement level guys, but we play like a team, and that's what they don't have. Despite having a defensive coach who is supposed to be this big culture guy, they just don't play like that. And an offense, yeah, they've kind of got something now with James Cook and Ray Davis. But yeah, if they're not fighting, trust me, as I know this because I've got one or the other in some of my fantasy teams. If they don't get it going, if they don't get that churning, yeah, it all comes on to Allen. And I don't want to say he's been found out, but the other bit that hasn't been spoken for my preview, there is an easy way to stop Josh Allen passing the ball, and all you have to do is shut down one side of the field because when he passes to a certain side of the field, he's really damn good. When he passes over the middle or to the other side of the field, he's mediocre. He comes down to league average. So, yeah, this Bills team always seems to get to like round the AFC Championship. Always seems to be one of the ones that always gets favoured to Super Bowl odds at the start of the year, but they just don't have that thing that pushes them over the edge right now. Maybe the run game can get them there. Maybe this will be a Super Bowl preview, but in both respects now. And if that does happen, yeah, there are easy ways for us to beat them. And to think that a couple of years ago when we played them at Thanksgiving and it was seen as like, oh God, what's going to happen here? We played them pretty damn close. It came into that sort of failed fourth down conversion to DJ Chark that was just off, and then them coming down the field in 2 plays and scoring the field goal. Like, as you guys know, because you covered it while I was off ice skating, we nearly beat them then, and we're so much better than we were then, even with all these injuries that we've had with Hutch out, with obviously Anzalone out and the West, Barnes out and all this. We're a lot better now, while they've kind of either just stayed the same or got worse. So, yeah, they're getting all the hype right now. They are seen as one of the best teams in the league and a Super Bowl favourite. But so are we now. And whatever punch they throw at us, we've got the perfect counterpunch for them now. And I don't think they'll be able to handle it.
All right, let's go through this. Sorry, Andy, do you want to finish off there?
No, it's fine. I'll mention it later.
All right, let's get into the team a bit more specifically. Let's talk about their offense. PFF has this as the 10th offense in the NFL. EPA has it as the second best offense in the NFL. Here is the offensive formation for the Buffalo Bills. Starting with quarterback, of course, Josh Allen. We've talked about him. He's backed up by Mitchell Trubisky. Running backs, they start off with James Cook. The rotation is the rookie Ray Davis, as well as former Lion Ty Johnson. They then have wide receivers Keon Coleman, Amari Cooper, and Khalil Shakir in the slot, backed up by Mac Hollins, who I think has had a terrific year, Curtis Samuel as a high-end gadget player, and Jalen Virgil. And then tight ends, Dalton Kincaid, backed up by Dawson Knox, might be one of the best 1-2 punches at tight end in the NFL. And then Quintin Morris behind that. Front five are, from left to right, Dion Dawkins, David Edwards, Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance, and Spencer Brown. They're backed up by Will Clapp, Cedric Van Pran-Granger, Alec Anderson, and Ryan Van Der Mark. All right. Having a look at the stats on offense. Josh Allen, he is 80 for 416 and 9 touchdowns on the ground. That included 3 rushing touchdowns last week alone. Through the air, he's 252 of 393. That's a 64% completion rate. 3,033 yards already this season with 4 games to go. 23 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. A passer rating of 101.9. QBR of 73.3. He is a PFF graded 89.3, best in his team. Running back James Cook, 157 for 723. That's 4.6 yards per attempt and 11 touchdowns on the ground. Also 28 of 34 for 204 and a touchdown through the air. PFF says 75.1 for him. Leading receiver is the slot man Khalil Shakir. He's been fantastic. 65 of 81 for 735 and 3 touchdowns. That's a PFF grade of 79.7. And the leading tight end is second-year man Dalton Kincaid. 34 of 59, 356 and 2 touchdowns. PFF grade of 74.9. Other good grades in there. The wide receiver Amari Cooper, since he's come over, has been brilliant. 77.2. And the running back RB2, I would say, but Ty Johnson's got some run recently in favour of him. But Ray Davis, 74.3. Otherwise, the 2 tackles are up here too. Spencer Brown, 71.7, and Dion Dawkins, 69.7. And the centre, Connor McGovern, 68.4. So strong at the centre, strong at the tackles. No bad grades on offence on this team at all per PFF. On third down, they're 9th in the NFL. On fourth down, they are first, 13 of 15 on fourth down so far this season. And in the red zone, they are 5th. 37 touchdowns on 54 trips into the red zone. They are extremely efficient when it comes to those high leverage downs. And why don't we come straight back to you, since you might have said something before I started going off on that. That offense, it's strong and it's deep now. I mean, that wide receiver core is easily 5 deep with players who could get on in other teams. 2 deep at tight end with starters potentially. I mean, Dawson Knox is basically paid like a starter. The offensive line is pretty damn good. I mean, their tackles have been good for a while. Dion Dawkins has been one of the most underrated tackles in football for some time. And then you was talking before about the fact that, you know, the running game doesn't set the world alight, but it's certainly good enough.
Yeah, it is. And, it all starts with the guy under center. You do have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and that instantly elevates every single thing you've got around you because of his ability to make plays. I said one of, not the. So you park your high horse. He's not as good as Jared Goff. So, but no, it all starts with him. Like he is a special talent. He can, he is very cool and calm under pressure. He is, his turnover problems dried up this year, which is, no, it's not as bad as it usually is. That's always been his big Achilles heels in year gone by. Might explain why he's having a better year is he's kind of cut the turnovers out just a little bit, but he's a unicorn. He's a really good player. It all starts and ends through him, and then he's protected by a good offensive line. I mean, it feels like in a lot of the recent previews we've been talking about how young some of these offensive lines are. Like two, three, four of the starters are from the last 2 or 3 years. This team is pretty much the ultra opposite of it. Outside of Torrance, who was drafted last year, most of them are from the late 2019, late 2010s, 2020. These are guys who've been in 3, 4, 5 years who they have developed themselves and they've turned them into a very good unit. Like they're really good in pass protection. You need to be let Josh sling the ball around, but they've upped their run. They're up their run blocking as well this year, and they're allowing the guys in the backfield to take more of the pressure off him. So the offensive line's good, the quarterback's great, and like you say, the running back room is just good enough. And then you've got all these great playmakers they've invested a lot at this position. Khalil Shakir a couple of years ago, how he's coming on there. Obviously, you've got Keon, who will probably be like that in a couple of years' time. He's going to be that transcendent piece in there. They've brought vets in to supplement that room. Obviously, having Amari Cooper in there he's still a good player. And then let's see, you're covered at the tight end position as well. You got multiple players there. So this team puts up a lot of points. And generally, the way you beat this team is you've got to shoot out with them and have a better offense. And, generally, like the Rams did the other week, you win time of possession by stopping their run game and you just score that many more points than they do. And that's sometimes the only time you can beat this team. So there are not many obvious flaws here unless you stop those two guys running. But even when you do that, you're still in for a bit of a difficult day. But as we mentioned earlier, like how we lost the last game against them, it was our secondary. Like we couldn't match up man for man for Toffee last time we came up against these guys. We can do that now. I really fancy our chances in this one. Like you've seen Terrion and Colton and how much he's developed this year, Terrion has, and that, and you're like, this is what we bought him here for, to play teams like this, to allow us to put more resources towards shutting them down further up the field. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, you've got to give kudos to this offense. It's tremendous, and we need to be ready to put up 40 points in this one because that might be the way we have to win it.
Ash, what do you make of it, man? I mean, it's a high leverage team that, it puts itself in third down quite a bit, but it converts at a high click. And then, much like us, if they put themselves in fourth and short, they're excellent at converting.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. And it all comes down to, as you say, Josh Allen, like with us, we've obviously got Monty and Gibbs who can do it, and then Amara and Sabahort who have to pass the ball. But with them, you just have the threat of just Josh Rush, like QB sneaking himself or doing the dive or whatever, as well as obviously running the ball with Ray Davis and that, or passing it to Khalil Shakir, who was up there with Amon Ra for like most targets without an incompletion or drop, like just been electric for them. Keon, as we all know how much I love him, and he's just hit the ground running with them. I know he's obviously had the wrist injury, it's kept him out for the past month, but he's going to be back, and he's been great for them. Like, especially as that deep threat, he's the guy who Terrion will be seeing on Sunday, and it's going to be a damn good matchup, and it's going to be a key matchup, hint, hint. But there are ways of stopping it. Like, they're really good in pass pro. Cyrus Torrance, and I'm not picking him out because he's a stinky old gator, but he's the weak link in pass protection for them. And that's usually where Liam lines up. So that's going to be a fun matchup to watch. But yeah, their tackles are really damn good. Like Dan Dawkins, as you say, has been underrated. Connor McGovern's been a damn good pickup for them at centre after they lost both their guys, because one went to Buffalo and the other one went to believe it was to the Rams and then got injured, but it replaced him pretty damn well. Like, and you say, and says they're not young. Like the youngest guy there is a Sirens, his second round pick from last year. Other than that, you've got Spencer Brown's been there since 21. They've picked up McGovern and Edwards, who are both veteran guys, and Dion Dawkins has been holding down that left tackle spot for them for donkey's years. So they're all sorted there. And it's just that sort of what we had in second year with Ben Johnson, they're now having with Brady, who obviously people might remember as the OC of the really famous LSU team with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, all that went to win the Natty. And then obviously he got the promotion to the Panthers and flamed out completely. But and then went to replace Stable when he went to be the Giants head coach. Being in sort of 201 has really helped them because it's meant that Alan knows what he's doing with the scheme. He can focus on cutting down the PFF term the turnover wherever he plays. So again, spoiler alert for tomorrow's preview, but when Josh Allen is throwing on the left-hand side of the field, more than 20 yards downfield, he's had one turnover wherever he play, and that was an interception, compared to 17 big-time throws. Like, when he's in rhythm, throwing to his guys, he's got the protection, he can absolutely deal the ball. He's also learned to do the sort of short stuff as well, which obviously Shakir helps with, having a dump-off option with Kincaid. James Cook has helped. Ty Johnson coming in, being the pass-blocking running back, which he should be, because that's why we picked him. Like, we know our running backs are good at pass blocking. Ty Johnson, former Lion, obviously. That's why he's getting a bit more run over Ray Davis these days, is because Davis needs to learn the pass blocking. Johnson's already got that down, which is why he's getting a bit more run. And it means that, sometimes gets big plays like he did last week against the Rams, I believe. They've just got everything ready there, and hell, they've even got the fullback there option there with Gilliam, who doesn't really get deployed, but they still use it. And the thing that really maybe has helped them as well is having a consistent sort of 6 offensive linemen as well, because they run that the most of any team in the league. They really do. They run that. They run 2 tight ends a lot. They try and get you big on the defense and then try and attack you over the middle. Unfortunately for them, we play base a lot. I know we now dipped under 50%, and now nickel is our base formation, inverted commas. I know it's technically a sub package, but but we play base a lot, so we'll be able to match up well against that. So overall, it's going to be a damn good matchup to watch. And yeah, we might have to go strike for strike with them, but with the way their defense is, I have all the faith we can do that.
All right, I'm going to move over to the defensive side of the ball now. And here we go with the formation on the screen. But for some reason, I've managed to put the name and number for someone on the defensive line the wrong way round, which is frustrating. Duh. Right, I'm going to just fix that. Give me 2 seconds. Great podcasting here.
Fine. I can fill it in. Let's play the game.
That's what
is their
she said.
favorite?
I've done it now.
Damn it.
That's what you said to her. Already done.
Yeah.
Oh,
go on, Ash. Play the game. What's the game?
What is their favorite coverage to run? You get it's cover 3 yet again. What we're built to beat. Exactly.
All right. Defensively, this is their team. As long as I can... I have to reload the bloody screen. Here we go. Right. They play a 4-3 base, but we're going to give you their nickel formation because that's what they're in the most. From left to right on their defensive line starts with Greg Rousseau, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, and AJ Epineza. They're backed up by Casey Hill, Austin Johnson, Dwayne Carter, and Von Miller. Also Javon Solomon, Jordan Phillips, and Quentin Jefferson. They have a lot of players who can play on that defensive line. Linebackers is Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. They're backed up by Dorian Williams, Joe Andreessen, and Edifan Olafosio. And then The back five, Nickelback is Tyrone Johnson, backed up by Brandon Codrington. Outside corners, Christian Bentford, and I'm saying in place of Russell Douglas is going to be Kyer Elam. It could be Jamarcus Ingram, potentially. Both have had a little bit of run this year in relief, but Kyer has slightly more reps. Otherwise, in the safety position, they have Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp, backed up by Cam Lewis and the rookie Cole Bishop. To tell you the special teamers as well, punter Sam Martin, former Lion, kickers Tyler Bass, long snapper is Reed Ferguson, and the returners are Brandon Codrington, that backup nickel, and then Ray Davis and Ty Johnson are the backup kick returners too. Just looking through their practice squads, they have Frank Gore Jr., which someone was a particular fan of through the cycle last year, Micah Hyde at safety, KJ Hamler at wide receiver, Daquan Hardy at corner, who I absolutely loved, Mike White at quarterback, Lewis Seen, the former first-round pick safety out of the Minnesota Vikings. That is about it that jumps out to me. Kareem Jackson, the safety. Who gives a shit? But anyway. So that is the team. In terms of the statistical bits and pieces, best defensive tackle, Ed Oliver. 1 forced fumble, 1 a sack, 20 tackles, 2 TFLs, 8 quarterback hits, but only a PFF grade of 63. Leading edge rusher is Greg Rousseau. 2 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery, 6.5 sacks, 42 tackles, 15 TFLs and 19 quarterback hits, and a team-leading PFF grade of 83.6 on the defense. Leading linebacker at the moment is Terrell Bernards. That's mainly because Matt Milano has been out injured most of the year, as he was most of last year too, actually. But Bernard, 2 interceptions, 3 passes defended, a fumble recovery, a sack, 76 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of only 56. Leading corner, who's had a fantastic year, is Christian Bentford. An interception and 8 passes defended, a forced fumble and fumble recovery, 52 tackles, 2 TFLs, PFF grade of 80.5. And leading safety Taylor Rapp. 2 interceptions, 6 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 75 tackles, 2 TFLs, and a PFF grade of 63.3. Other good grades in there is the designated pass rusher, Von Miller, 75.6. They're very glad to get him back. He's only been back for a few games now after having been injured against the Lions last year, and he's been out since. I think that's right. Thank you, Ash. Other bad grades in there. So the starting edge player, AJ Epineza, only has a 53.2. Rotational DT Dwayne Carter has a 41.5. And linebacker Balen Spector, who played a fair amount in relief when Matt Milano was out. No, he did not. Well, you're on mute. There you go.
No, it was the former Tulane Green waiver, Dorian Williams, who's actually their leading tackler. And yet he's a backup now, because they decided to just shove him off to put Milano back in there.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, this team is 25th in the NFL on third down, allowing conversions 43% of the time, which is not brilliant. Fourth down, they are 5th, though, only allowing 11 conversions on 25 attempts. That's an exceptional rate. And then in the red zone, they're 16th, so middle of the pack, allowing 26 touchdowns on 48 trips. That's 54%. Ash, to come back to you first this time. Defensively, it's a really weird team because if you go through the individuals, it seems, I would say, potentially pretty strong. There's some big names on there, you know, and Rousseau's had a really good year, but Ed Oliver's had a down year by his standards. He's slightly above league average, but maybe no better than that. AJ Epinez has not been great. He has the odd good play, but down to down hasn't been fantastic. Obviously, they've been messing with Matt Milano, but he's taking a while to warm up, so when he's come back, he hasn't been great either. The DBs have been struggling. I mean, both safeties have got plenty of interceptions in Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp, but they've also been burned quite a lot. Benford really is the only shining light of that DB room, I would say. So while the names are pretty flashy, they're kind of flattering to deceive. And we already went through their schedule. It's not the strongest schedule in the world.
Yeah, it's really not. And perhaps part of that issue stands in the fact that they currently run base formations of 4-3, the least in the league by a large margin. So they run it 1.9% of the time.
Oh my God.
Yes, exactly. Then, but number two in it is the Commanders with 5%. For
Bloody hell.
comparison, we run base the most in the league. We run it 47.8% of the time. Like they live in nickel. They run nickel the fifth most in the league, 78.1% of their snaps. They're in dime the seventh most in the league, 19.2%, and then they use other formations. That's what hurts them, particularly in the red zone, is because they run that 4-2 system. And then they try and use, because they're cover free, that means obviously the strong safety's in the box in the rubber roll. They try and use that as a third linebacker almost. But because it's a safety, you can just duo block the linebackers and suddenly you're running back one-on-one with a safety. And more often than not, they're just going to run them over, which is part of the reason they're not doing so well in the red zone, because obviously in the red zone, it's condensed part of the field. It's a lot easier to do the blocks, and your backs can hit them. So Gibbs will probably have a good day. Monty especially will run for the arm tackles. Like you look at the Buffalo defense, they're not exactly great tacklers, especially with some of the starters. Ed Oliver, most because of his size, but has missed quite a lot of tackles. Matt Milano has. Daquan Jones, who's their no tackle, has. Greg Rousseau has. Like, you look at quite a lot of their starters, they're really bad tacklers. It's just, as I said earlier, they've got, as you said, they've got a lot of name power, but they're just not playing as a team. And it bears fruits because you can easily run over them if you put your mind to it, which we can. You obviously be built to beat cover three, which is what they run a lot, because obviously Sean McDermott comes from that tree, the sort of Seattle free tree that's permeated across the league with Ron Rivera and that in Carolina before he came over to be the Buffalo head coach. We know how to beat that. You attack the seams with Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, and you stretch them deep with JMO. We do it every single week. Perhaps the best thing is obviously with Decker coming back. Again, I'm spoiling myself here tomorrow, but I don't mind. Decker coming back, he'll be facing AJ Epineza, who is basically a poor man's version of Josh Pascal. Like all the gripes that people have with Josh Pascal, doesn't rush the passer well. He's not so functional sometimes against the run. AJ Epineza is that, but worse, but a larger name, because obviously he's been around a bit more, and he's obviously was getting first round buzz and during his draft cycle initially. Like that's the perfect guy for Decker to sort of go up against someone he is a worse version of someone he practices against, and isn't that good. Like we'll be able to attack this defense pretty much however we want. As I say, I know people were having a discussion on the Discord earlier about because they're so like, do you run 6 offensive line try and blitz them? No, you just trust your 5 guys. You have Decker deal with AJ Epineza. Saul will be going up against Greg Rousseau, which will be a fun matchup. It's power on power. Sometimes Rousseau might be able to get the best of him, but again, Saul is the best tackle in the league, so it's probably going to swallow him up. So then it's down to Graham, Ragnow, and Zeitler to sort out the 2 defensive tackles. And Ed Oliver is undersized. He was my comparison for the guy I loved last year in the draft class who went to Tampa. You just have him get duo blocks by Ragnow and Glasgow before Glasgow climbs up to the second level. So will be able to handle Daquan Jones. And suddenly that's their front 4 neutralized. And then you can just start attacking the linebackers and the safeties and everyone else in the run game. Like they will have good days against bad teams for sure, because the bad teams won't be able to sort of establish the run. But a team like us who is built to run both kinds of things, this recently be running a lot more zone than we usually do, mainly because it favors Gibbs a bit more and it favors the matchups. But we can run gap on them, we can run zone on them if we want. And then when they start loading the box to try and stop the run, suddenly that unleashes JMO. Like no matter what Buffalo and Sean McDermott and their defensive coordinator, Bobby Badgevich, choose to do with their defense, if they play a bit more base, it'll just be playing into our and Ben Johnson's hands, because, as we said earlier, this could be our quality win to turn around to everyone who's saying, okay, so you beat the Packers in your division, so what? Like, they're not the best. Oh, so you beat the Vikings. Okay, they've got a good defense, but the offense isn't consistent. This is the sort of big name stamp now for us, is we can do this, go to the Bears game next week, hopefully blow them out, and then we've got the 49ers, that sort of last flag planned before we go into the playoffs. This could be a real chance for Ben to sort of show what he can do against a big name team now.
Can't plant your flag or you go to jail.
True.
I mean-
But this is in New York, not Ohio, so it's not a felony.
And I'm absolutely just I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this defense, because often me and Ash are aligned. I can pretty much say what I think about this defense, and then Ash is going to come with the receipts on basically why justify the views I have, because we're almost always in alignment. You, however, tend to, well, sometimes will agree, but often will not see the same thing that we do. So I'm really interested to see what you think about this Bills defense.
You know, it doesn't impress me as much. Like their stats might say they're really good, but this team has no pass rush outside of Gregory Rousseau. Aiden Hutchinson he would be second in pressures on their team by a massive margin. When was the last time Aiden played football? Like they've got one genuine threat there, and you look in the games where they've been really like even against teams who've been really far behind them, against the 49ers playing from behind all the time, they got one sack. Against the Dolphins, who were playing from behind against them and only got 10 points on them, no sacks. Against the Seahawks, who only got 10 points and were having to throw a lot on them, no sacks. You go to that game against the Rams last week, which was a high score shootout, and you need some major plays on there, and they're throwing the ball a lot, no sacks. This is a team that the reason they're getting so many, and you're right, this tells a story. Their secondary, they've got like 6 guys who've got multiple takeaways this year, and you're thinking, oh my God, they've got a secondary full of ball hawks. No, they don't. They've got a secondary full of guys who are just having Hail Marys and desperation plays thrown in their direction, and they're able to pick them off, and they're able to stat pad with them, and all this is coming still without a pass rush. Like our offensive line is going to eat them alive in terms of their run defense. Like it's still in terms of yards per play given up. What I think it's 4.7 yards per play. It's one of the worst in the league, and teams can't run on them that much either because they're having to throw on them. And when teams are, you know, they're still struggling. And in the games they've lost, they've really struggled against it. And you look at this and you're like, our offensive line is one of the best in the league, and now it's fully healthy. Our run game, our scheme in the run game is one of the best in the league. It's one of the most ingenuitive. And you look at those linebackers in there, they're on the smaller side. Dorian Williams, guys like that, they're undersized. No, not knocking those guys because we've got Emrod, and Dorian's going through the second year that Rodriguez did. He played a lot in his first year, and now he seems to be, you know, they've put another guy in there, more veteran in his place, and he's waiting his time. But they're not the biggest guys. You can run on these, and then you've got an in and those guys on the secondary, and you can run the ball easily on them. But the trouble is, their offense can score so quickly and garner a lead that it almost protects their defense. You saw laid bare last week when the offense for them, it couldn't run the ball. They score quickly, but then you lose time of possession. What did the Rams have? 38 minutes or something like that. They had a lot more possession than the Bills did. And that defense of theirs got exposed. They couldn't stop them running the ball. They couldn't stop staff throwing all over them. And that's how you can beat them, even when their offense is having an elite day. So I think a lot of these stats are just literally byproducts of the leads they've had. But that offensive line, I don't say I don't respect it because it's in the NFL, but I look at it and I think we're going to crush you like you're in a tin can because we're just that much better than you at every single position. And outside of Gregory Rousseau, who is a damn good player and has turned into one, you know, I fancy our tackles against him. You keep him quiet, you run the ball well, like we've done. We've taken so many great edge rushers out of games this year by running the ball well and keeping them away from the quarterback and protecting him well. So I don't know. This defense, I don't believe in half as much as I do their offense. I see the complete lack of pressure coming from their defensive line, and I see a load of opportunistic ball hawks in the secondary who we shouldn't be giving the chances to. Goff, for his most part, has played turnover-free football this year. His stats are completely squiffed by those first 2 games and the debacle in Houston. But apart from that, he's offered up very little for people, and I don't think they are good enough to go out there and hunt picks off him and lure him into traps and stuff like that and make him turn the ball over. So I'm not a fan of it. I just think trench warfare, we're going to absolutely roll them, and that's what the Rams did. And I would venture that the Rams' offensive line is not as good as ours. The Rams have given us the perfect perfect blueprint to go out there and absolutely nullify their defense. And even if they score on us, we'll put together 7-minute drives, 8-minute drives, 9-minute drives, and we'll just ground you into the ground and we'll be able to score when we like. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it at all.
Just to talk about the Rams game pretty quickly, I didn't mention it on offense, so I'll go there first, then defense and special teams, and just see what you guys thought of that game before we get on to our expectations for this one. Offensive line, very early on, missed a delayed linebacker blitz, which almost caused a sack. The Rams defense just killed themselves in this game a little bit at times. So early on, Byron Young hit Allen out of bounds very late to give them a first down on a third down that wasn't converted. Otherwise, Allen, if you give him time, is going to pick you apart. That much is obvious. There were a couple of bad throws in there, though. He moonballed a deep throw, which gave the safety a chance for the pass breakup when it should have just been complete if he hadn't chucked it up there a bit. Otherwise, he reads the game really well. We can see, when there's an unblocked blitzer and just get rid of the ball quickly. Good throws on time to Amari Cooper. The Ty Johnson running back screen, I think that really is padding his stats a little bit because that was all Ty Johnson and really good blocking up there. Otherwise, Allen missed a really well-protected throw to Shakir down the middle for a big game early in the third quarter. Allen kind of had to take over the game by himself because they abandoned the run. We talked about that before. Basically, everything good they did came through Khalil Shakir, so a 51-yard touchdown. Good throw by Allen, but Shakir made like 3 or 4 guys miss with unbelievable explosion down there. Another throw to him, to Shakir, which was down at the Rams 1. And a really nice throw to Matt Collins on the slot fade versus Quentin Lake, who had a really bad day. Just a lovely back shoulder throw. And then this game, they lost by 2. But if Quentin Lake doesn't commit an awful DPI on 4th and 15 to extend the game, they're losing comfortably by more than 1 score. So the fact that it's only a 2-point game seems slightly unfair. And then I don't know what the hell was up with the play calling. We mentioned it last week. But you need to score quickly at the end. They run the quarterback sneak and it doesn't work, so they have to burn the timeout. And now you have to onside kick it and they obviously don't get it back. But, I think what goes unappreciated is they didn't sneak it once, they sneaked it twice. Like, the second time they went for it again. If they'd done that, they'd have had to earn another timeout. It was so weird. And I said about the Rams killing themselves. They had to commit an unnecessary roughness penalty for... No, was that them? No, it was Bills. The Bills committed that, sorry. The Bills committed an unnecessary roughness penalty by pulling a man off the pile on the touchdown sneak at the end of the game. So, needing to get a bit closer, they caused themselves a 15-yard penalty for the PAT, which would have made it a 2-point game instead of a 3-point game. Now, it might not have mattered, but when you're trying to get that onside kickback with not much time left, if a field goal is a tie as opposed to a field goal for a win, that makes a difference. So, undisciplined, which is not particularly good. On defense, they're very aggressive coming up the field early. I actually think that we can be there to pick them apart. Screen game hit them early, but also I think counters could give them good trouble. But Christian Benford had himself a brilliant day. Some really good pass breakups all the way through the game by him. I think if we can avoid throwing to him, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, very notable, a couple of things from the Rams that they must have seen on film. Lots of ways trying to get Stafford out of the pocket worked really well. So lots of bootlegs. Stafford scrambled a little bit, other little bits and pieces like that. But also they had a lot of jet sweeps, especially to Puka Nacua. He had 3 in the first half alone, and I think 1 in the second half as well. They couldn't handle Kyren Williams at all. The way that he's able to run with his vision and just how shifty he is. He's a budget Jahmyr Gibbs. That's how he looked to me when he was doing that. So, we should just be awesome at doing that. Otherwise, Buffalo were bailed out with offsetting pass interference calls. So Hamlin got burned deep by Robinson. Great throw by Stafford. And the call was that they both interfered with each other. I think that the Bills got away with it, to be honest. We saw last week people in our chat saying, I think that should be offsetting pass interference calls on the one in the back of the end zone, which was a pick by Carlton Davis, which was called back. Some people were saying, he's interfering with us too. That was actually called in this game. If it wasn't, maybe Buffalo are even further behind. They got more stout against the run in the second half. They were burned in it in the first half. That did lead to actually some more stuff happening in the passing game, though, unfortunately for them. Stafford had a lovely timing throw to cut down the seam versus Rousseau Douglas, who just had a poor day overall. They ran zone coverage a lot, and they looked bad at it, generally. And who do we have? Great zone beating receivers. So that should be a really big advantage for us. Anything else to know? Not really. They will bring blitzes at times, and Sean McVay brought a clinic of calling the right plays at the right time, most notably at the end. 3rd and 5, Buffalo brought a cover 0 blitz. They ran it into a wide receiver screen. Just perfection. And of course, what do we have? But a really good offensive play caller who has a good feeling for that sort of thing. So that's going to be good. Just to talk on special teams as well, the Rams had a punt block for a touchdown. And then the very next punt almost got blocked again. They're really struggling in that offensive line on punt block. So look for our special teams unit to exploit that. Otherwise, Rams started kicking the ball into the end zone early. And then they asked Buffalo to return it a bit. And it didn't work very well for Buffalo. They started quite a few of their drives at the 20, 25 as opposed to the 30. Maybe look for us to try and force them to return it a bit as well, because I'm not sure they're fantastic at it. That's the end of my look back at their game last week. Boys, I know that you probably watched it as it was the game of the season so far, but, you know, the blueprint potentially is very much there for the Lions.
Yeah. First of all, Stafford probably had his best game as a Ram. Like some of the throws he made were unreal in that game. Like it felt like watching him at his vintage best again. But like you say, with that defense, man, they carved him right open. And what did they do? They used motion a lot. Nakua, they could not handle him when he was in motion. And I would, tell you right now, the odds of J-Mo getting a touchdown on an end around in this one, very high. You're going to use him like that. That's going to be one of the blueprints there. But we love to use a lot of motion. We love to get our playmakers into space, give them a running head start. Some of these guys not so mobile. Nakua was always able to find himself some space and be able to create those opportunities for himself. And we have guys who can do that here. And when you're putting it forward with a really solid run game, which the Rams did, they've kind of got to. They can't, devote more resources to blocking against it. So you just start off by running the ball really well, and then the playbook opens up for you because you're just going to get so many one-on-one looks, and with the amount of playmakers we've got, they're really going to struggle to contain us. The Rams did it perfectly. Just long drives. Turnover or two would be lovely, but when you give the Bills the ball for 21 minutes, you're giving yourself a good chance to win the game. And ultimately, that's what won the Rams this game. If this had been a 30-30 game, I think the Rams would have lost by maybe 10 points because, that extra 9 minutes, extra not being able for yourself. Because the Rams got cooked as well. Let's admit it. Their defense did get cooked a little bit as well. So you've just got to be methodical, be precise, score every time you get an opportunity, and you beat the Bills that way. But I really fancy it. I look at the way they did things. I'm like, yeah, we're going to do a whole lot of that against them. We're just going to be moving guys all over. We're going to be creating mismatches. We're going to be getting good yardage. So yeah, I just love the matchup. I think we're going to put down a ton of points this week.
Mm-hmm. To build off what you just said, I'm calling it. You know how every year Brock Wright has that one game where he makes that play to score?
Oh, I thought we were getting the Aline call there.
No, I make that call every week. People come back me up. I make that call every week. But I think this is the week for the Brock Wright play, which I know will make Matt happy. But to go into the special teams, for a long snapper who went to LSU, do you think he'd actually be good? Oh, wait, he went to the shitty one who lost to FSU twice, not the actual they're not the good LSU. But yeah, the reason that their returning went so bad is because obviously their returner is the backup slot. And because Tyron Johnson was out, he was the starting slot. So they pulled him from kick return duties, which meant it was to Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, who haven't got much experience of that. So yeah, if that happens again, if Tyron Johnson's not there, expect us to do that because we can force stuff. Like you look at Khalil Dorset, I know he's on the 20 Minute in the Huddle podcast this week, but you watch him on our coverages. As a gunner, he's fucking electric. He's there at the ball. He is there as soon as the guy's caught it. He's usually either the first guy to the return or the second. we could be seeing some turnovers on special teams here this week, because I can just see him or Malcolm absolutely light. No, not Malcolm, it's ACL. What am I saying? Ezekiel Turner, because he's playing the Malcolm role now on special teams as the sort of inside gunner, if that makes sense. Them just lighting a motherfucker up and just getting a fumble. I can just see it. Like, this is the week. This is the week. I know I'm calling for a Kirby interception because fuck Xavier McKinney. I would love to see him just pick off a deep ball from Josh Allen, because fuck Xavier McKinney and fuck Dan Orlovsky for saying the way you beat this Detroit defense is to throw him deep. You know, when Detroit in pretty much every metric deep is top 10.
So
stupid.
So I saw Dan Orlovsky's defense of it, and I actually buy what he was saying, but I just think that the point has been totally missed, basically because he's not the best communicator in the world. For me, what he was saying is, you can't beat them up front, and you can't beat them on their offense. Your defense is just going to suffer. So the only thing you can do is basically play desperate and chuck the ball up there and hope that that DB room crumbles. But the point was, you're basically not going to beat them because this is the only hope you have. And if that's the way that it should have been framed, then I'm buying it, because otherwise it's a slow death rather than a long death. You know? Like, yeah. I think that's what it is.
I've got to quickly go and change my hot take for tomorrow's preview then.
No. Absolutely have a go at him. He framed it poorly, but I think that's what he meant. Is just like,
fair.
The Lions are so good everywhere, the only way you can beat them is by scoring quick.
Yeah, which it's kind of true. Like, but same time.
Anyways,
I'm surprised his advice was you beat the Lions by forcing the quarterback out the back of the end zone.
Yeah, well done. And when you were talking before, I had a vision of a play that the Lions are going to run, and I'm just going to share it with you now, just because I want to manifest it into existence. So, we're going to have Goff running the ball backwards as if it's going to be a stretch play. To the right. You're going to have Amon-Ra on the slot on the right-hand side, and he's not going to be in motion, but he's going to be off the line of scrimmage quite a way back. Not even one step behind, but maybe a couple. So almost in the backfield. He's going to come round on a jet sweep, but it'll be a fake.
Mm-hmm.
The fake will then be on the stretch play to, let's say, David Montgomery, but it could be Gibbs. I'll say Montgomery because he's a better runner. So it's a fake jet, fake stretch handoff. Jameson Williams is in motion from the left-hand side as an outside receiver for the end around, which Ant spoke about earlier, because they're going to be so hung up on the fact that jet sweeps are going to be something they're weak against. They will prepare to play against jet sweeps. So you fake the jet, and then you have the running back as a lead blocker for Jamo on the end around.
Like the Sam Laporta touchdown. Second one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be. We're going to use the fact that the jet sweep stuff, they've been shamed into it last week. They're going to have to prepare against it. What are my keys for playing against jet sweep? Oh, Amon-Ra, what the hell's he doing that far back? I've put him that far back because I don't want two men in motion, and if he's near the line, then it's going to be hard for him to get back on the fake jet. But if he starts that far back, I think he'll be okay. If you see us doing a jet, they're going to overcommit. I just think they'll be too scared to lose yards on it. So,
in which case, also expect screens on the other side. So what you've just said, but instead, say tunnel screen to Jamo. I can be all to the right, Jamo on a tunnel screen on the left-hand side of the formation.
Yep.
That could also work.
Plenty of similar plays using similar formations. Yeah. I
love it. You can see me drawing out in my mind when you're saying it.
Oh, I'm just quite excited about talking about that sort of thing. I've never really have been before, but drawing the play up in my head, I'm like, oh, Ant's talking about end arounds. I'm like, I can make that work.
Yeah.
I can make that work.
That's me. You know, like all our scoring plays, that's what we've been doing, as you know, because I said it the first couple of weeks, and I was like, oh yeah, write that down for later. Because we have our flag football meeting next week. I think I've got like 4 plays based off storing stuff. So I've got the Jared Goff touchdown pass. I've got the David Montgomery throw as well, drawn up as flag football plays now because of that.
Love it.
So I'm there with you.
Marcus is doing too much but in the chat, but it said Matt Turner for Ben Johnson replacement. Matt Johnson? It's like I'm his son. Right. Let's get specifically into this game. Score predictions, fellas. What do you expect to happen? And what is your prediction for the score? Let's go Ant first.
I think it's going to be. I don't know. I fancy us to win this by more than a score. 38-28 Lions.
Ooh.
I think we're gonna cause an upset here. Well, it's not an upset. We're favourites, but people still don't expect us to win because it's the Bills. But again, I have to look at this with my sensible eyes on, and I look at both trenches. I think we're better in both trenches, and I think this will allow us to control control the game in a way which suits us. We will win time of possession. That is critical. Win time of possession. We will put up enough points here. Our run game will be able to decimate them as you've just been making plays up in your head. We've got the playmakers to be able to go out there and really cause them issues, especially if we can run the ball well, because then they can't be so aggressive against all these plays we're doing in the backfield, etc. So I think we can control the clock, and I think, we are able. I think we'll get takeaways on Josh. I do. I fancy our guys to be able to stand up there. We got two deep safeties playing the best football of their lives right now. Like, Josh Allen's going to trust himself. He's going to remember the secondaries he's played. He's not ready for this secondary of ours. This is the best one he's ever played against. I think he's going to throw a little bit of dross up there, which we're going to be able to pick off. So 38-28 to us, and this is where the last of the doubters stop doubting.
You think, Ash?
I'm going to sound like I'm copying you, but I promise I'm not, because I've had this locked in since about 3 hours ago when I submitted my preview to be published tomorrow. 34-24 Lions. Like, I agree. Just, we're going to win by score. I know everyone's saying it's going to be a shootout. And I know, obviously, last week we gave up 30 points for the first time in a damn while. We've got a lot healthy on the defensive side of the ball now, and I know. So having Aleem hopefully fully back, having Reader fully back, having Pascal fully back, like, again, hopefully we appreciate I know he's not the best edge rusher in the world in terms of pass rushing, but just what he does in terms of setting an edge, in terms of the run game and all that, that's going to be useful against Josh Allen. I can see our defense kind of stepping up a bit now with the D line getting a bit healthier. Another week with all these linebackers in the system. We'll be able to force the Bills into kicking field goals and touchdowns more than they can do it to us. We might have to still kick a couple of field goals, but by the end, it'll be a comfortable 10-point victory for us.
All right. For me, all I can say is, why so pessimistic, guys? I think we're going to win 48-31. I think they'll get some. I think they'll score 14 late. I think we're going to destroy them. I'm take basically what you've both said, and I just think actually it's going to be just a bit more than that. I think that's right.
It feels like you're just showing off now. Like,
I just think we're a lot better than them. And I do wonder about the Bills, especially with them beating KC, that people are crowning them as one of the top teams in the AFC, and I don't buy it. Having watched them a bit closer, I don't buy it.
I just don't buy the AFC at all.
No, it's not a good conference. It's a conference full of average teams, and that's what has been thrown at the NFC for so long. Now the NFC is the one where there's a massive divide between the good teams and the bad teams, whereas here, so we'll get into this game later, but the most important game on the entire slate is Colts versus Broncos. So I'll try and remember what's going on with this, but the Broncos are something like 70% to make the playoffs, and the Colts are about 30%. But with a win, it goes to about 50-50. With a win for the Colts, it goes to about 50-50 or 60-40 to the Colts. A win for the Broncos makes it 90-10.
91%, yeah.
Yeah, so there are so many really close situations in that conference, because the Broncos, while they have a great record now, have 3 insanely difficult games to finish the season, whereas the Colts just have cakewalk end. So what I mean by this is the whole conference is on a bit of a knife edge, and the only thing which has made it slightly uncompetitive is that the Chiefs have been the 2022 Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, well, further proof of that, the fact that the Bengals still have a chance to make the playoffs.
I think they might.
Ow.
I think one of the Bengals or the Dolphins might get in.
Yeah. I think with the Bengals, it's they have to win out. Broncos have to lose 2. Colts have to lose against the Broncos, and then win a couple of games. It's very quite. It's like that. You know that laundry list of stuff that the Dallas Cowboys had to get in a couple of weeks ago that instantly just got shut down. It's kind of like that. But yeah, when it's like that, it's just I don't know. Like in terms of for the teams, yeah, that's definitely the most important. Obviously, we'll come on to it. The most important for me, and it's going to make someone's ears perk up because it's one of his favorite teams. Eagles Steelers.
That's going to be a fun game. Apart from the fact that Pickens isn't playing, but never mind. All right, let's go through the rest of the slate since we've previewed this game now. So I will just bring that up. First game we have to cover is Thursday Night Football. Yesterday's game, the Rams beating the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco in the first game this season without a touchdown scored offense or defensively or on special teams of any kind. Boys, did you watch the game? I know, Ash, you were regretting watching the game.
Yeah, mostly because I was in at 6 o'clock this morning. But yeah, I just woke up this morning at 1 a.m. Just couldn't get back to sleep. So I put it on thinking, oh yeah, 2 decently high-powered teams. Like the Rams have really come back. Both teams are kind of coming back into it with people coming back from injury. I didn't account for the weather because holy Jesus of Nazareth, that was a shit game to watch. Like when wasn't it like the Rams did well? The Rams didn't have a first down until halfway through the second quarter. Neither QB really could did anything. Like just look at the fancy things. The fact that Cooper Kupp went scoreless. All these receivers only had less than 4 points. The only viable fantasy starters were Kyron Williams, the defenses, and the kickers. Like this was an absolute shit off of a game. Remember, it was like the game where it was us versus the Steelers a couple of years ago. It was just absolutely snowing.
Oh, that was the worst game ever.
Yeah, imagine that. But without snow, it was fucking sleet, and at least both teams had competent kickers and QBs. That's basically what this game was. It was dross, but thank you to the Rams for winning that game because I kind of predicted it, and you've made the pick watch a bit easier for me.
And did you see it?
I just feel sorry for Ash because this is just like an extension of watching Florida State this year, wasn't it? Like their season's done, and he's had to watch teams settle for field goals with good kickers.
Yeah, and he didn't even bloody win the award, did he?
That's a joke. That's a joke. The whole college football awards are a joke, but yeah, I'm just there and just like, wow, at least Ash will appreciate this. No, it was awful, and it's what a drop off for. And no one's talking about the fact that the Niners have players refusing to go into play for them. Like this is always, Shanahan's team has come unglued this year. Everyone talks about you not having your couple of best players. Like how many players have we missed this year and we're still winning? I know they're missing some big players, but boy, howdy, their quarterback's a little bit average when he doesn't have a left tackle or a running back to work with. I mean, Goff's worked without his left tackle this year and won games. Just saying, it's one of those. But that Niners team it looks garbage at the minute. It looks like it's already in Carbo, which is good for us, I guess. But Shanahan, everyone says he's a genius, but he doesn't seem to be a very good head coach. Offensive genius, but his team's falling to bits. So it's fun to watch.
I mean, their season is now basically done because at 9-8 being their top amount available now, 9 wins doesn't get you to the 7 seed, definitely not. Which means they have to win the division.
They win the division?
They can win the division, but because they have lost in division, it's going to be difficult. The Rams are 8-6, one more win, and I don't know actually. Did the Rams sweep the Niners?
Yes, they did.
So one more win for the Rams knocks the Niners out in the next 3 weeks.
The 49ers are done. They're 1-4 in division.
So they have to be the sole 9-8 team.
And
they can't win a division because the Seahawks can only finish or the other 3 teams can finish at worst 3-3 in division.
Yeah, so what they're hanging on to is that they finished 9-8, and somehow their conference record, even though the division record is terrible, that they can get a wild card. But I just don't think it's even possible. So I'm surprised that nothing's come out saying they're mathematically eliminated. There must be a scenario which they can still make it in, but it seems to me like they're done.
So what you're saying is we need to go there and drop 60 on them and just pile on all the hurt they gave us last year.
Yeah.
And
don't want to give that
just
to
really,
you.
just really rub it in their face.
And to make it even better, we win it by converting a 4th down, just to really stick the middle fingers up to all these fucking numbnuts.
I mean,
they should just do a skit where Jack Campbell's refusing to go in the game or something like that, and just say, "Nah, coach, can't be arsed, not bothering with this." And there's like, "Oh no, actually, yeah, I will." You should just take the mick out of that somehow.
I really want to see an interception by Kindle Vildor that bounces off his face mask into the air and he catches it. You know,
yeah. Yes, please. Yes, please. That picture is stuck on my Twitter right now because of a reply that I did to the NFL UK.
Pride of Detroit in the chat saying games with weather confirmed terrible.
Yes.
Thank God we're in a dome. Right, let's move into the rest of the slate and make our picks for the rest of the week. We're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys at the Carolina Panthers. It's the first time in almost 2 seasons, no, over 2 seasons, almost 2 seasons, where the Carolina Panthers are favoured in a game. They are 3-point favourites here. And what do you think is going to happen?
See, I've long backed the Panthers as underdogs, and I've been betting for them every week. But now I feel like they've got to this favourite status that they're going to lose just cause. So yeah, I got Dallas to win this. I don't want them to. I want the Panthers to win, but this just feels like the stars are aligning for a Panthers loss now that they're favourites.
Ash?
I have the Panthers winning it. I know it's the first time since literally, so it's the 18th of December 2022, they're last favoured, which is 2.5 points favoured over the Steelers, and they lost 24-16. But come on. You've got the Cowboys right now are in free fall. Like, as much as we love to meme about Cooper Rush coming here and being a backup QB in this offseason, they've just got nothing going for them. And the funny thing is, I know we've all predicted, like I predicted it earlier season when they still had a bit of a chance. Jerry's going to fuck up their pick and give them Ashton. They're not going to fix their problems and they're just going to spiral. So, yeah, Panthers, give me the Bryce Young redemption arc, please. That'd be just great.
Yeah, I'm on it too. Panthers and Panthers with points. I think they'll win by more than 3. Yeah. Although Cooper Rush, low-key, has been a really good relief quarterback for them. I think he's been great. So that hasn't helped, but whatever.
Michigan legend Cooper Rush.
Touche.
Next up is Kansas City at the Cleveland Browns. It's a 4-point advantage for KC in Cleveland. I think this is low-key a trap game, personally, but I don't know. Ash, what do you think?
Give me the Chiefs. This is it's one of them. It's kind of like another game we're going to be discussing later where I don't want either team to win. So just give me the team that I think is better, and unfortunately, it's the Chiefs.
And
he put me in on the Browns upset. They're going to lose eventually. The Chiefs are, and if they're going to lose to anybody, I'd rather it be Jameis. Like, this could just weave the next tail, or the next step of his tail. Like the Chiefs, the Browns they're historically that bad look wise that I think this is going to reverse itself, and they're going to be like, people will start to love them again. This is part of the Browns' redemption arc now that Deshaun Watson's done. They've got Jameis. People are starting to like them again. This is how they get people to love them. Beat the Chiefs. So we're talking redemption arcs. This is the Browns one.
Touche.
See, I thought I was going to be the one with the hot take, saying when I say it's a trap game, I mean I'm picking the Browns straight up. But I am picking the Browns straight up. They're so much better than their record in terms of just the team itself. And, you know, if Jameis can just not throw 4 picks, I think they've got a good chance. So we'll see.
As if Hallmark would let their prize team that's starring in their new Christmas movie lose.
Ugh. You know what? You couldn't pay me to watch that. I feel we should
We should run a fundraiser and actually
Yeah,
literally pay you
shall
to
we do
watch
that?
it.
raise
If only
raise a
something-
grant and I'll live watch the damn thing. I'll do a live stream as I watch it. You can watch a man, descend the 7 levels of hell in one go. And,
You can watch a man lose respect for himself in real time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, next game up is the Dolphins at the Houston Texans. Texans coming off a bye are only 3-point favourites at home against a desperate Miami Dolphins team. Ant, who you got?
The Dolphins suck Donkey Kong. It's the Texans' time to win.
Ash?
I won't put it like that, but yeah, give me the Texans. Just Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, going to go off all over them, aren't they?
Is Diggs back?
Yeah.
Give me the Dolphins by more than one score.
I didn't say Diggs, I meant Collins. I meant Collins.
I was
I'm
about
an
to say,
idiot.
I thought Diggs was done for the year, but
No, I meant Collins.
you're normally the
It's
guy
tied-
with the
it's tied-
encyclopedia brain.
It's tied of late. I've been up for 21 hours straight now.
Fair. Yeah, Dolphins are going to win by more than one score. CJ Stroud continues his fairly poor year. The bye doesn't help a team that, doesn't have an offensive line against a team that's actually done very well on its defensive line. Miami are going to dominate. Anyway, moving on. Next, Jets at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jets favoured by 3.5 on the road against the Jags. Ash.
Give me A-Rod. I hate it. But with Hall out at this point, I don't think he's been officially ruled out, but he's probably not going to play.
I thought there was a thing today saying that it was likely he was going to go.
Oh, God. I thought he benched him in fantasy. It's going to happen. He's actually going to play. He's going to get points now, isn't he? No! Still give me A-Rod just because the Jags are, again, in free fall and God knows what they're going to do because they've just paid T-Law a boatload of money. So they better get a guy who knows how to use him because otherwise they're up shit's creek without a paddle.
Good news for fantasy owners. Breece Hall expected to play 5 hours ago, this was.
I'm not risking it.
I'm not putting him back in my lineup because Aaron Rodgers will have a hissy fit with him on the second play of the game and he'll not hand the ball off to him.
Yeah.
I'll leave him on my bench so the rest of you get 40 points out of him. That is me doing my civic duty for you all.
And who do you have?
No one wins in a game like this, do they? We'll just die a little bit inside because it's going to be so awful. Throw a dart at it, man. I picked the Jets and the Jags to win their conferences so they can both go screw themselves as far as I'm concerned. Tie.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
9-9 tie in the worst game of all time, and they both deserve it.
I really want to pick the Jags, and I would pick the Jags if they had Trevor, but they don't have Trevor, so I'm picking the Jets, reluctantly, with the points.
You just want more fancy points for Brenton Strange, don't you?
Yes, I do. Go Brenton Strange.
You should be able to carry over last week's total from Josh Allen. Like there were that many points, you should be able to.
I did beat Ash by more than 50 points. It was pretty tasty. Anyway.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I could do nothing else. George Pickens was out, and I still couldn't score more points because everyone on my bench just got nothing.
If you added up all of the people on your bench, you still wouldn't have come in within a Josh Allen's worth of points. Close to me, I don't think. But anyway, I digress.
Hubris.
I want to buy this week, so...
as they used to say to the generals in the Roman triumphs, remember, you are still human. You are not a god.
Hail Caesar. Anyway...
He is a god. He rules this land. Like we're just his subjects here. We have no power.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Imagining myself as Octavian in Rome. But anyway.
Who prays to
in the TV show Rome, where he's an absolute genius.
Awesome. That was awesome. That was a great show.
It was a great show, just Octet. Nah. Don't get inside.
The first Caesar.
They missed out the most important god in the lot of it though, the god of long snappers who Matt follows. So you never seen the murals on a wall of a god punting a ball through two posts.
I
Like
mean,
that.
to be
That's like
fair, we do have the god of long snapping in Don Wheelback, so it kind of it does work, doesn't it?
I didn't know I was watching Gladiator 2 again.
Matt does every time before he comes on stream. He's got a little statue of Don just off to the side, and he's just there and going, "Praise be to Don. Give me the power to get through this episode without all these jokes being made at my expense."
What? You're on mute.
Me realizing I can actually get that made because I know someone that does D&D models. All I have to do is just get them a picture of Don Muleback, and I can actually get us. If the Lions make a Super Bowl, I'm giving it to you at the party. A little Don Muleback. How about that?
Oh yeah. By the way, I know that we haven't announced this, and I know we've not talked about it internally at all. I do plan to run the same party that we were planning to do last year if we get to the Super Bowl. So somewhere in the Midlands, North Midlands potentially, Super Bowl party for Lions fans in the UK. It's going to be absolutely lit. If we don't get there, I'm just going to go to my normal thing.
Or the US if you want to fly across. Like that's the second best option to go into the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Come
true.
over here and get hammered.
Well, Ryan Farden already has a Super Bowl ticket. Bastard. There we go.
Reckon he'll sneak us in a suitcase.
To be fair,
You ain't going to fit in no suitcase, man.
To be fair, we can't moan about him because little intel that he's texted me today. He might be having a beer with our Lord and Savior Hogan Hatton at some point in the near future, and he knows who we are.
Oh, for the look, yes, right.
What?
Yes,
He knows who we are.
Yes. He knows who we are. Hogan Hatton knows who me and you are.
What?
Yeah.
We've got to get him.
Please not for the last couple of games. No.
We need to get him to film an intro for the podcast. This is Lions legend Hogan Hatton, and this is the best Lions podcast on the internet. Roar of the Lions UK.
Love that. Right, next game up to preview is the Commanders at the Saints. Commanders are favoured on the road by 7.5. Surely the Saints playing QB3 can't do anything in this one, can they, Ant?
No. They're trash. They will always be trash. And yeah, they're going to lose.
Fair. Ash?
Yeah. Come on. As much as I love Jake Hayner in college, it's not going to happen here. They need a complete reset. So, me to completely taking back my Cliff Kingsbury takes from a couple of weeks ago, the Commanders are going to absolutely pummel the pumice out of them.
Love that. I'm taking Commanders and points. I don't think the Saints can do much out there, to be honest. Next up is Ravens at the Giants in another fairly boring looking game from the outset. This is the highest spread of the entire season so far. The Baltimore Ravens are favoured on the road by 16. Ash, what do you think?
The Ravens win, but the Giants cover because Tyrone Tracy just decides to have an absolute tear.
And
I think Baltimore win, but the Giants cover because Danny DeVito is going to have the game of his life. So there we go.
He is the garbage king after all.
I'm taking Baltimore and the points. I just don't see the Giants. I wonder what the odds are for the Giants being blanked. Even though the Ravens' pass defense is terrible. I think
that they'll get a defensive touchdown or something.
Why?
Give me a sec.
I just don't. Why? Why would they get a defensive touchdown? They haven't got any good defensive players, have they? They've got a couple.
Oh, they've got a couple.
Okay, they're not that bad. They just have a garbage offense. Like the best defense in the world can look trash. A la Chicago Bears.
Here we go. Give me a sec. I'm actually trying to find out if there is actually odds to this.
I wouldn't have thought there would be.
I thought he was running a skit looking for a good player on the Giants defense.
I mean, yeah, true. That's valid. That's
I love
valid.
that. Right, you can come back to it while I talk about the next game. Bengals at the Tennessee Titans Is this an entire slate of completely one-sided matchups? I don't know, but the Bengals are favoured on the road by 5, Ant.
Titans win, and Zach Taylor is that much closer to getting fired.
I mean, have we flipped positions? Are you on the Titans bandwagon now, E?
Hey, a few weeks ago when I said the Panthers were going to beat the Chiefs, and you were like, "Oh my God, what's this?" They nearly did. I just don't think the Bengals are that good this year, and like the Titans, for as bad as they are, they'll have a game where like the Bengals have been drawn into some ugly games this year where they've been playing ugly football and they've been nullified because of it. And if anyone can nullify the Bengals and turn them into an ugly team to watch and to play against, I think the Titans can. I just have a feeling the Titans are going to upset people here, but the Bengals season needs to be over. We're that much closer to getting Trey Hendrickson next year. The dream lives on.
Ash?
Found it 13-1.
I might take that. That sounds pretty good to me. Ash, you've got Bengals Titans.
Bengals win, Titans cover, because as much as I have praised Lou Amru in the past, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing anymore on defense. Joe Burrow will have another MVP game. T. Higgins will absolutely go off, just make it even more likely the Bengals will take and trade him in the offseason. And the Titans will actually get some stuff going. Who knows? Nick Bucchini will probably have another 260-plus yard touchdowns, and that'll be his only contribution to the game, and then he'll just disappear off the face of the earth again for a week. But yeah, Bengals win, Titans cover in an absolute shootout.
I have the Bengals winning and covering. It's the most boring 1 o'clock slate for me I've seen in so long. But I just don't see the Titans hanging with the offense of the Bengals, to be honest. I think the Bengals offense is amazing. So
it's reaching that time of year when some team seasons are now over and they're getting put onto the 1 o'clock slate and it becomes a little bit boring.
Yeah, not wrong. All right, next up is the Patriots at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals at home favoured by 6. Ash, what do you think?
I like what I just said. Cardinals win, but the Patriots cover because Drake May has an absolute coming out game where he throws a load of yards to Douglas and throws one pass to Kayshon Boutte, which he drops, therefore giving Matt 0 fantasy points. But yeah, and who knows? Maybe the Cardinals will remember that Trey McBride exists. Don't know how much that annoyed me last week, sitting there watching him just getting fuck all going on offense.
I don't think that would have closed the gap to Matt, though, Ash.
And what do you think in this game?
I'm still pissed with the Cardinals last week when I bet them against the Seahawks. So I'm going to take the Patriots this week and see how they like it. Hopefully, Patriots can rub it in their noses. I mean, part of me does want the Cardinals to win because I want that division to be uber close. But yeah, I'm upset with you. So I'm picking against you this week.
I'm with Ash on Cardinals win, Pats cover. Just sounds right to me. Pats are a good, solid, hard-working team now after the coach called them out, but they're just not quality enough to actually win games like this. Next up, and we're into the afternoon slate now, I should have mentioned. That's the first one. Second one is the Colts at the Broncos. I mentioned it before. It's the most monumental one game there is, apart from if you get down to week 18 and there's just implications on the line. The Denver Broncos at home favoured by 4 in what can only be described for the Broncos as an absolutely must-win game because their run-in is horrific. And despite their record, if they don't win this, they might be in trouble for getting into the dance. So, Anne, what do you think?
I think this is going to be a game between two teams I have literally no interest in that's really going to pique my interest because it could be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know we've played the Colts this year, but like the Colts and the Broncos not really had much to do with. But you know, you've got a good young rookie quarterback there. You've got a guy going through his sophomore year who was getting better. You've got potentially 2 great guys slinging the rock around. You know, you've got semblance of good defenses both here as well. A lot of playmakers. I think it'll actually be really close. I think it'll be a really good game. I would see home like +4. I mean, I think the Broncos will win very narrowly. If this was the other way around and it was in Indy, I'd back Indy to win it. I think this is going to be a narrow win between two good teams. The Broncos just sneak it out, but they don't cover the 4.
Ash?
I'm disappointed that for such an Eli Stowers fan, you don't want to watch his future team playing. Give me the
What,
Broncos.
Saints?
No. Where's Sean Payton now?
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, no, you could be right.
There you go.
Could be.
I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm
You are.
learning. This is
You are.
This is why you listen to the college pod, because you know who he is. Give me the Broncos to win and cover. Like, they've got a lot on this line, and the thing that perhaps pushes it for me to say that is the fact that you look at the two coaching staffs. Peyton is a better coach than the Indy coach, so that just gives him that edge in this sort of. It is very close. Like, Richardson could absolutely go off again, throw into whoever is not covered by PS2. But at the same time, that we've seen it with the Colts defense, they can make some plays, but at the same time, they're easy. They can be got, and this Broncos team has worked out a way moving the ball with Bo Nix, with all some of the weapons they've got. So give me the Broncos.
I'm going to take the Colts to win straight up. Just because I think when you're desperate for a win like the Colts are, because otherwise you're basically eliminated, versus the Broncos with it being nervy because you're kind of the leader in the clubhouse. The Broncos have so much to lose and the Colts have so much to gain. And I just think when you got a rookie quarterback like Bo Nix, that potentially you just buckle a little bit. And the Colts have been ascending of late. I actually think they've been playing a lot better. Quarterback's been playing better. It's just a me doubting the Broncos, especially this season. You know, everyone thought they were going to be bottom of their division. They've been so good up to now. But I wonder whether they're going to bottle it a little bit. Don't know. Next up was our game. So we all picked the Lions, and we all picked the Lions to cover the 2.5 point spread. Next up is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the LA Chargers. Chargers favoured by 3 at home. Ash.
Give me the Chargers. That defense is just elite. It really is. And I know Baker's been playing pretty damn well. He's got Mike Evans back now. They've got a run game. That Chargers defense is going to stifle them, and they've got just enough on that offense to move the ball against the Bucs defense and win the game. So give me the Chargers.
Don't know. This is a toss-up, really. I think this is two good teams when healthy who are really going to give each other a proper good old-fashioned beating. I think that the Chargers are a little bit healthier. A little bit. The Bucs are still reeling from some of these injuries they've had. I think the Chargers win it, but like by a point. Like, this is going to be incredibly close. And if the Bucs win it, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
I am choosing the Bucs straight up. Reason being is Herbert's playing, but he's obviously got this ankle sprain and left thigh contusion, and he's playing through it. I mean, he can be a statue, but there's one team you don't want to be a statue against, and it's the blitz-heavy nature of the Bucs defense. I think he's going to get absolutely destroyed in this game. So, can Herbert win despite that? Yes, he can, but I think that equalizes it significantly. So, give me the Bucs. Next up is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles in the most compelling matchup outside of ours, I think, this weekend. Actually, maybe the next one's pretty good too. But the Eagles at home are favoured by 5.5 points against the Steelers team with no George Pickens again. Who am I going to? Ant, I think, was next up.
I mean, you know what my answer is, so just move on.
Okay, one for the Eagles. Ash?
Yeah, of course. You've got to back your boy Reed Blankenship. Of course you do.
He's injured. I think, is he not still injured? Or is he playing? I think
Have a
he's
look.
injured. I think he's injured
Ah.
currently.
That's the thing, like,
See, I supported the Steelers when it wasn't.
Yeah, he's
Poole.
ruled out. He's ruled out.
yeah,
Yeah,
concussion.
so
God damn it.
that's the trump card that the Eagles had for me gone. So Steelers all the way. Still think people are highly underestimating this team, and the Eagles is just a bigger frauds as the Chiefs are. They're due a loss, and the Steelers win games you don't expect them to. This will be one of them.
Yeah, I've also think the Steelers win. It'll be close. It'll be closer than perhaps people might expect, because I know the Steelers will do a damn good job of slowing Barkley down, but Hurts maybe might have a slight bounce back game in terms of passing the ball. I know he doesn't have Goddard anymore, but AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, he's got a couple of guys to throw to. And that defense, and I know I keep saying it every week, like every time we mention them, that secondary every week is getting a lot better as the young players bed in and get more and more snaps. So without George Pickens there, they don't really have anyone to throw to now. So other than Frymouth, so it's gonna be a low scoring close affair for me. But so that just favors the Steelers in my opinion.
I am going to go, unfortunately, for the Eagles. Steelers cover, Eagles win. Despite Hurts not being able to throw the ball and looking like a complete douchebag throwing it. We do have a question which is going to pertain to this later on, but yeah, I think they'll do enough though.
Well, someone's asking why Jalen Hurts is a douchebag.
Well, he's asking whether he should play Devonta Smith in fantasy, but it's basically the same question, isn't it? Next up is a Sunday night football game between the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks at home are underdogs to the Green Bay Packers by 2.5 points. Ash.
Wow, the Kenneth Walker is doubtful / out for this game, so they've only got Zach Charbonnet to run the ball. The Packers have been better against the run recently, but at the same time, Seattle have got a few passing weapons in Geno Smith. He's not had exactly the seasons had the past couple of years. He can still pass the ball, and with Jair out and John Bullard out for them, maybe that secondary for the Packers can be attacked. So give me the Seahawks.
And
Christ, this is like Satan versus Aaron Rodgers. Like, who the hell I hate both these teams just as much. I can't stand the Seahawks. I can't stand the Packers.
If this is how you're reacting to this game, God knows how you're going to react to the next game. Jesus.
Well, there are people worse in the world than Satan, so I know this is going to seem bad, but I want the Packers to win because I hate the Seahawks so much. I don't care about the Packers, screw them, but they can keep moaning about their loss to us, but I just have a deep hatred of the Seahawks. And I don't like them. It's all Pete Carroll based. Once he's been gone long enough, it'll go away. And plus, they've beaten us a lot. But I want the Packers to just win this and the Seahawks to lose.
I have Seattle to win straight up. There was a piece on the Athletic Football Show talking about the Seahawks in their most recent episode where they said, when is it time that we have the conversation about Jackson Smith and Jigba being their best wide receiver? And that's the thing which has kind of converted me to being a Seahawks kind of, well, not fan. I don't mean fan. I mean being a fan of watching their games, because it's just compelling when you've got three guys at that sort of level. And when the guy that is in his sophomore year that is just absolutely delivering for them now. I mean, we saw it in college, and then the year he came out, he had a bit of a down year by his standards. People seemed to be down on him as a prospect. So I think people are going through the same thing with Marvin Harrison now, as someone who isn't electric on the 40 time, but is just brilliant. Vision-wise, route running, football IQ, all that sort of stuff that really makes a difference. And Geno's a good passer of the ball. And you know what? If he can throw it to open up the run, and so Green Bay are just struggling on both sides, I think it's going to be a struggle for Green Bay, especially in Seattle.
You mentioned MHJ there. Have you seen the fantasy community turning on him now? Like, I cannot stand, if you play fantasy, fine. I cannot stand fantasy experts.
Oh, it's the worst.
They're calling him a bust just because of his productivity in fantasy. I'm like,
It reminds me of Jameson Williams or Jahmyr Gibbs when they both weren't getting enough play, and it's like,
yeah,
just go away.
Or
it is,
Alan
and it's like you're making these takes like he's a bust. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. He will be one of the best receivers in the NFL. Of that, I have no doubt. You can see that with the naked eye, like just how good he is. Just because he's getting your fantasy team a couple of points a week, you don't go around calling players bust. It just really irks me. They're now up there with PFF and RAS and stuff like that as people I hate in life. So, but I just saw it and I'm like, come on, man. Halfway through his first season, Amon-Ra had done nothing halfway through his first season, with due respect to him, and then he flew off. Just takes a little switch and that's it. No looking back.
All right, next game up is, I think, the first of probably a Monday Night Football doubleheader. I haven't checked, but they're half an hour in between each other, so yeah, cool, fine. It's the Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings favored by 6.5 in the NFC North matchup. Vikings hopefully will need this to still remain only one behind. Bears now have nothing to play for, but, you know, it's in division, so clearly there is still some bragging rights on the table. I can't remember who I meant to go back to now, but let's say, okay, you're pointing down, but because the orientation is different for you compared to me, are you pointing at Ant? Or are you pointing at... Thank you very much. Good. Ant, what do you think?
Looked like he was pointing at his crotch from here.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Right, moving myself down.
This game is making me horny.
For the wrong ways.
Oh, Bears and the Vikings.
Oh dear. This is Super Satan versus Super Hitler, isn't it? Like, this is just even worse. I don't know. Obviously, my desire to see the Vikings lose to solidify our spot on the number 1 seed against my desire to see the Bears lose because I hate them and I want to see them suffer as much as physically possible. Like, these are, immovable force against unstoppable object. That's what this is. I've got to answer this question here. I think the Vikings will win because, they'll get to Caleb and, that Bears defense is falling to pieces because it's just out there so damn much. And unfortunately, the Vikings are on a roll at the moment. The pass rush will get home. I think they'll beat them quite handily. The Bears look like they've punted this season now, which is funny because that was something he was never meant to do when he got there. But the punter's even punting the season at this point, let alone punting the
what an
ball.
inspired draft pick, taking a punter in the 4th round, because fuck, you needed him.
And why put it out there? Why put that quote out there that is going to come back and haunt you at some point in your career? Torrey Taylor's going to need surgery after this season to repair his leg from all the kicking he's been doing. So either that or he'll do a kick-ass river dance.
It's just having a punter who's actually punted for more yards than your QB's thrown for couldn't be the Lions.
Yeah. The punter's 62-39. Like, Jack Fox has done nothing compared to him. It's like, it's crazy.
Because that's why you could see me scrolling. So I've looked up. Fox has punted for about 1,979 yards. Goff has passed for 3,265. Let's have a look at the Bears, shall we? Oh, wait. Torrey Taylor's punted for 3,000 yards and Caleb's only passed for 2,700.
So what's that? About 800 to go for Goff now to get to 4,000 again. So 3 games, relatively speaking, he should be there. He should do it in the regular season.
Yeah.
Bears could never. 4,000 yard passer. That'll be the 3rd time that Goff has done that here.
Yeah.
Not as good as Caleb quarterback.
Also, hang on, let's just check something. Caleb 16 touchdowns. How many's Goff's on? Oh, Goff's thrown for 25. Something else a Chicago Bears QB's never done.
Seriously? They've never thrown for 20...
Chicago Bears QB has never thrown for 25 touchdowns.
Stafford did that in a bad year. Like, Stafford would do that in his worst year. Man, that's
Goff
great.
has literally done it in every single season that he started, except for the last two in the Rams and the first one here.
Yeah.
So apart from almost half of his career.
Well, three to. Well, no, it's three to. It's
Three to six.
Six.
He's just
so
Yeah,
third.
okay, 1/3.
He's just entered the top 40 all time for passing yards as well. He's still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Jared Goff could easily end up in the top 20 for as bad as he's been.
Yep.
Ash, have you picked this game yet?
Oh, Vikings! It's to go from what was it, passing game coordinator to offensive coordinator to head coach. It's just too much for Thomas Brown. The fucking retrospective from the Bears fans. Oh, this is all this. It's too much for him. Brian Flores is going to make him his bitch.
You know what? I want the Vikings to win out to convince themselves that they can actually step up to us and win it, and then us drop 50 on them to end the season just to that's the, you push the knife in right at the end, you give them hope, and you pull it away from them again. I would love to do that.
What's the face for, Ash?
They've just released the 5 to 10 for the voting of the Heisman.
Go on then.
God.
Number 10, Kyle McCord. Number 9, Curtis Rourke. Number 8, Shador.
Ooh.
Number 7, Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end. Number 6, Bryson Daly, the Army QB.
And number 6
And
for
then
Heisman.
Yeah. I
He's
bet
the second
I guess it's
leading
number 5.
He's second leading rusher in the nation, Bryson Daly was. Oh, sorry.
And
fourth.
And you can probably guess who number 5 is, Ants.
Ooh,
You've been
not in the
saying he
top
should be
5.
the highest. You've
Cam.
been saying Cam. Cam is number 5.
All right. Anyway, I'm going to pick the Vikings by 3 scores in this game. Caleb is going to be sacked the most times he has in a game in his career in this game.
Now come on. The Titans got him, 9 times or something like that?
I was definitely thinking double-digit sacks, so that's good.
How far did we say he was off the record? He's not far off the rookie record.
He's not far
is
off.
he?
He was on track to be a couple short.
Actually, it's the most sacks he's taken in this game is 9 with the Patriots.
Oh, that was it, Patriots.
He was sacked, but yeah. So last week he was sacked on 23.33% of his dropbacks. The Patriots game is sacked on 23.08.
Yeah, the Patriots just after they traded Josh Uche, so they didn't even have their star pass rusher.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So basically, you've got the worst defense to go up against when you're a rookie quarterback is this sort of Brian Flores blitz happy, but it's a bipolar defense, isn't it? We're going to bring 3 or we're going to bring 8, and you're not going to know which it is. It's going to be awful for Caleb to have to deal with an offensive line that's crumbling. And the biggest thing which is being overlooked with the Bears in terms of what their problems isn't really who the head coach is and where he's come from and how quickly he's come up to that spot. The biggest problem is that when you fired Eberflus, you fired the person calling the defense, which was the only good part of your team. So you've lost that.
True.
That's why they've taken a massive step back, is because the one good part of their team has gone. So, Vikings by 24? Maybe? Something like that.
Oh man, that's a little too mean. Think of our poor friends at Bear Down Report.
I'm thinking of them because what I'm saying is
to their shows, and they sound like us we did 3 years ago, and I actually feel sorry for them a little bit now.
Oh well, the Bear Down Chicago guys are bloody awesome. I think it's okay to feel sorry for them without feeling sorry for the rest of the Bears.
They've been beaten into submission, and sometimes you feel like, oh come on, we've got to cut them a bit of slack now because we've still got to play them next week.
All right. Last game in the slate is the Falcons at the Raiders. Falcons are favoured away by 4.
How has that survived in prime time? Wow.
Great question. I don't know, but Ant, how on earth do you pick this game?
Right. I've got an idea. We'll pick opposite teams. We'll have a live game of rock, paper, scissors to choose who gets what.
I think that'd be better than actually picking the game.
So
Okay,
here
throw on 4.
on 4.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Rock, paper,
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you did it.
Throw
Right.
on. Okay, throw on the 4th one. Rock, paper, scissors, stone, shoot.
Oh, no, just rock, paper, scissors,
Why
go.
Why
Okay.
don't I just say show? Like,
How are we fucking this up?
It's
exactly.
just
So
rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
Go.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Rock.
Rock, paper, scissors, go. Well, rock, paper, scissors, go. Rock, paper, scissors, go.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it! You get to choose for this one.
Okay, I'll pick the Raiders.
I'll take the Falcons. Kirk.
There's something about Kirk that I just can't back him anymore.
Well, they said he's the first quarterback since about 2015, where over a 4-game span, his touchdown to interception ratio is 0-8. Like, come on, man, that's terrible. 0-8, and consider. I'm telling you now, the Falcons should play Penix this week. The Falcons should bench Kirk,
Yeah, they should.
play Penix, because they've still got an outside shot of doing something this year. You're clearly not going to do it with Kirk, who has been a vastly overrated fraud his entire career. Go for the young guy you spent your first-round draft pick on. He's sat for half a season. He's learned. Now you should be able to put him in. He's got plenty of weapons to throw at, and he's got a good run game to back him up with, and he's a bit more of a dual threat than Kirk could ever be. Kirk is running like he's got no legs. So there you go.
I even think Kirk is going to be a reasonable play for next year, but at this point in the season, to try and save the season, I think you should play the rookie. And then next year, you just make it an open competition. Or you just outright trade Kirk to whoever will take him to try and get rid of the salary. And to be honest, if you're drafting a first-round quarterback and you could play him and not have the veteran salary on there, you should just do it if you're on the fence. Because the money makes up for it. So, yeah. Anyway, we have done all of the slate. We've talked about the game. No, Ash, sorry. Sorry. All right. Calm down. So you're picking the Falcons. Anyway, next.
Calm down, dear.
It's only a commercial.
I was
Anyway.
going to have a great spiel about Sincere McCormack, but you know what? Fuck it.
Well, so you're not an Amir Abdullah fan?
I am a massive Adema fan. When he's played wide receiver, at least I've actually found someone who can run the ball now. So yeah, I'm going to Raiders. As much as I used to say the Falcons' defense was good, I've given up on the Falcons.
They're
I should
a
have seen
bad
it
team.
coming. They are. We should have seen it coming when I burst out laughing in Ford Field when they picked Penix. That should have been it. I should have just given up exactly at that point. Why did I hold on hope for like another 7 months?
But the thing is, the fact, even though it was bad process, the fact that they have got a first-round quarterback in there to take over from Kirk is one of the things that, for the future of the Falcons, gives me hope. It's just that they've kind of almost punted on this season by doing it, which is weird.
I'm just glad that someone else is like getting the Eric Ebron treatment now with Kyle Pitts. It just makes me happy to know that. Like, I like Pitts, but I think, yeah, but who did they not pick in that draft? Like, you think of the guys who went just after.
Getting that up now. I'm literally getting that up now.
Like, this pick is going to be remembered for who they didn't take and who they could have taken instead, because they clearly don't want to use him. So it's a case of that will go down as a terrible, even if he's not a terrible player, it will go down as one of the worst picks in a while.
Am I being dumb? I think I am.
Unfortunately. In fact,
oh my God, yeah, you look at the next 3 picks after Carl Pitts and you're just face palming for the Falcons.
What is it? Chase, Sewell, and
Waddle.
Waddle, and then Parsons about 3 picks later.
Yeah. So
4. Sertan's there, Devonta Smith.
I mean, what a run of
Parsons,
players.
Slater.
The Falcons don't know how to use their first round tight end. The Raiders do. How good has Brock Bowers been recently?
Yeah,
Everyone.
he needs to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. I really hope that he is. But the thing is, I've got a $5 on Bo Nix being Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I feel pretty good about that. Because he's been pretty fucking awesome. So,
Yeah, but if Brock carries on going the rate he's broken Sam Laporta's record, hasn't he? Already
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
most catches from a what's it? He could break 100. What is he at? About 83, 84 at the minute? Probably more than that. He's not going to be far off.
Is he over 1,000 yards?
I'm not sure if he's
933.
Yeah, so he's getting there.
It's 87, 933, and 4 touchdowns.
Jesus. So he's 13 catches away from 100 catch season. And the weird part was you feel like you didn't hear his name at the beginning of this year, or no one paid any attention to him. But the hype was real. Like, people wanted to push back massively on him being this transcendent talent last year. It's like, there he is. Yeah. That's what he is.
It's because they had Mayer sitting in the wings, isn't it? Because that was the whole thing, wasn't it? And everyone's like, "Oh no, he'll just be there." They'll have Mayer initially, then maybe Browns take over, and he's just hit the fucking ground running.
Which makes that pick look even weirder now. You'd have consecutive tight ends high up like that. But...
Yeah, it's weird. So apparently, the piece 2 weeks ago from CBS saying if he maintains his pace of receptions all the way through the season, he'll have 119. And also, when Sam Laporta went on his tail last year, we were talking about him getting the rookie receiving yards record. That stands at 1,076. Mike Ditka. That should go. That has to go.
140. That's 140 off.
In 4 games. Should easily do that.
He could get most of that against the Falcons.
Yeah, exactly so.
Jesus.
Right.
Yeah, so his 17 game average is 114 receptions on 154 targets, 1,220 yards, 5 touchdowns.
But, see, he wants to do it before the last week because Ditka will have said it in a 16-game season, won't he? So if you can do it in 16 games, then it will be more legitimate.
It's still 50 yards a game. Should be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we have some questions I want to get to as we've been going a while. It's 1:20 in the morning. So Frank the Tank asks a kind of general question about the Lions and about how many good players we have. He asks, how do you think we're going to pay for some Browns, Sewell, Gibbs, Laporta, Davis, Kirby, Branch, Arnold, Campbell, and Anzalone? To name but a few. Generally speaking, holistically, not specifically, I think, but holistically, how on earth do the Lions deal with having so many good players they want to play? Because, frankly, you can't pay them all, can you? Or do you start at this point saying, right, the cap doesn't matter and we're going to push some money into the future now that we're good? I don't know the answer to this. I don't have a good answer. So, Ant, any thoughts?
I mean, like, I know you include Arnold in there, but he's in his rookie year. You're not going to have this conversation for 3 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And by then, probably Decker's done. Some of the older guys are done. We're not going to pay these guys all at once. It's going to be rotated going through, and then you're able to make better use of your cap that way. Some guys will probably have to go. Maybe not. The cap's going to be a lot bigger as well if you work well with rollover, stuff like that. There are ways you can do it. There are ways you can structure it around that, you'll be more successful with them. So I think this year coming up is going to be the difficult one. I think you get through that, you'll be all right. But we're in a good cap situation. The thing Brad's done really well is he does not overcommitted too much cap to people. Like, there are not many massive contracts outside of the ones we've just given. Like you got Taylor, you got Frank, you got Penny, you got Amon-Ra, etc. But there's no big waste of money aside from that. He's been very clever with the way that he's done it. So we've got plenty of cap available to us, and we've got a really good squad already. So we're not going to need to go out into free agency and pay a ton of money there or all that. It's going to be all wrapped up in our guys. So I think we're fine. I think we'll be all right going forward. And then, the natural conclusion, you will trade a couple of pieces away. And this depends on how you draft as well, right? Like, if you draft some other studs, if someone falls to you, etc., then you can trade away and develop the new guy. There are so many things that come into the equation here, but Brad is really good. We got Disner, who's an expert. I think we will be fine because of the great job Brad's done with the cap. Most of our free agents, 1-year deals, 2-year deals, nothing that's killing us down the line. We don't have a lot of restructured money. We don't have a lot of future dead cap. That's how you pay for it.
Yeah, basically what Ant just said, just to go off it a bit more. So you look at the big extensions we've done this off season. Look at where the biggest cap hits fall. Each of them are in different years, so they're each peaking at different. It's like what we did with Ragnar. So Ragnar's, I think, is next year. Then it'd be Decker. Then it'd be Saul. Then it's Goff. Then it's Amon Ra. It all we, as you say, we structure it exactly right. So everyone picks at different points. And I'm going to be honest, some of those on that list will get shorter deals than others. Davis, Anzalone. Like Anzalone, I think will be out of contract. Is it the end of this season or the end of next
He's
season?
got one
One
more
of them.
year left.
He's got one more. So end of next season, I might see him going on to the 1 year. If that after that, where it's just constant 1 year deal, 1 year deal. What we doing with Dan Skipper basically? That obviously for a bit more than what Skip gets because Anzalone's a bit more than that. Davis will probably get extended, but again, it'll be another 1-2 year deal, as you said. It's all structured. That's why Disney's here. Like that's why Disney's wanted across the league, and it has been ever since the Quintisha era. Because I know they didn't let him do too much then, but he was learning his stuff. And you look what he's done now. Him and I know Sozen has gone now, but what them two did the past couple of years with structure and everything. That's why we're in such a good cap situation, as you say, because we structure it just right. But we're also fair to the players. We pay them what they're worth, and sometimes if we don't lowball them initially, sometimes the player will be like, okay, yeah, this is not exactly everything I wanted, but it's close enough and I can see you doing right by me. I'll sign for 2 million less a year AVV than I'm supposed to. And over time, the AVV adds up and it couldn't be the difference between potentially extending Davis rather than letting him go and having to play the comp game. But at the same time, we can play the comp game. We can let Davis go and sign a Cam Sutton contract and get a 4th round pick next year's draft based on that, and you start reloading with those as well. Like there's so many ways that we can use these now, these kind of things now to our advantage. Play the comp game, structure everything right, and we could be a Steelers, a Patriots, a Ravens, what the Chiefs are, where we'll just keep going for donkey's years until something really bad happens.
So just on the cap position, this year we still have $24.7 million available. So that's going to roll over. I know that there'll probably be incentives which weigh in and we'll probably hit a lot of those incentives, so that rollover may come down a little bit. But that's still a significant amount of cap to roll over to next season. Next season, we have $63 million available. That's without the rollover. If we get rolled over what's there currently, $87 million available. So the real problem might come in 2026 when Goff's cap number is $70 million.
I think, yeah, but I think then, a lot of the draft picks will probably be coming through. And then, with Anzalone, when he gets to his last year, if Campbell is what we think he's going to be at the end of year 3, we don't technically need Anzalone. Like that's the role we've brought him into play, and we'll reload at the position. So Anzalone will get himself a big fat last paycheck somewhere, hopefully with a Super Bowl ring to his name as well. And then we've got Jack, and we don't need to pay Anzo. That's what the good teams will do. Like some of these draft picks will hit you. Like I say, maybe keep Carlton another year, and then hope that by the time he's done in year 2, year 3, Terry on is to the point where he's your main guy. Now you go out and get another guy, and you don't need guys like this. And we have been, I'd say it's fortunate, but it's been by the way. But guys like Barnes and Iffy, who were maybe going to be due big payouts this year, maybe not so now. Maybe they're going to have to take prove-it deals here and wait a bit longer. So it helps us out a little bit in the short term and gives them a chance to earn the new pay deals as well, while helping us short. So there's lots of ways you can do it. We've drafted so well that hopefully, it's not going to be an issue.
I mean, the other thing that will happen, I think, is that we'll see the Lions trade good players away that feature heavily in the rotation but are not necessarily starters, who are maybe getting towards the end of their deals, and they will go for 3rd round picks or something like that. I just think that has got to be a part of the equation.
Especially if you win a Super Bowl. Like, it helps when you've won the Super Bowl and you're then it gives you a bit more flexibility because you've actually won the big thing, and you can then afford, if you want to do a bit of the cost cutting that you want to do later on a bit earlier and get it out the way. So like a lot of it will revolve around that. And as people have said in the chat, hopefully we'll be a destination place where some people will want to come and play half a season and play really well and get a ring, etc. That helps you out as well. So I think we're very well set going forward, and then that's a great thing.
Right. few more questions. Marcus has 2, but I'll go in order. So Marcus's first one about fantasy. So should I start JMO or Devonta Smith? I think for me the question unquestionably is the answer unquestionably is JMO. Devonta Smith,
Yeah.
when Hurts is only throwing for about 100 yards a game right now, and Devonta Smith is not the person who's getting those yards, that's mainly AJ Brown. Like, the offense is just so fucked passing-wise in Philadelphia. So it's not a great choice because JMO is boom or bust as a pick. It's not like there's a solid floor there. But he's had some good games recently, and I don't think there's any reason why that shouldn't continue here. It's a good matchup for JMO, this game, so...
And they gave him loads of targets against the Packers.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
Similar scheme.
And yeah, the scheme, you will see him in the backfield in this. You just will. So the opportunity for points there.
All right. Ken Stauder says, could you see a team trade for Joe Burrow? Is his stock going higher?
Ooh.
Okay, so for me, going rate for Burrow is like more than 4 first-round picks.
But
so,
what's his cap hit? Like, the cap hit will come big into this. Like,
I mean,
so next year it's $46.25 million, 48.25, 52.5, and so on and so forth.
Jesus, the dead cap must be insane.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out now.
So this year is currently 103 million. Next year, 57 million. This is cap savings. This is cap losses if he leaves.
I mean, it's not as bad as when Russ left, was it? Russ left a massive hole in the Broncos' finances when they got rid of him.
So if he was traded away next season before June 1st, they'd lose $22 million on the cap.
Yeah.
It's not a killer, is it?
No, not at all. But Burrow's worth more than 3 firsts. I mean, he's literally should be the MVP this year because of how well he's played. But because of how poor Cincinnati have been, he won't be. But when you have a player playing like that, he's worth the world.
The trouble is, like you mentioned, you've got T. Higgins coming up for a deal. You've got Chase who's on his deal. Someone's going to have to, if it's not Burrow, it's going to have to be a lot of other players. But I can't imagine, like, if a guy like Ben Johnson goes there, there is no way he's going to trade away his prized quarterback asset. Like, he will be going there because Burrow's there, because Burrow gives him a chance of winning. So, I think it would be very slim. I'm with you. I think a team would have to pay well over the odds.
I think 4 1s and a 2 might get it done.
At least.
But
and that on maybe,
a play or 2.
Yeah, like a Goff type thing, like a QB. Like, theoretically, say the Vikings did it and they chucked in Darnold with it. Like, just a very theoretical thing. Like, you'd want someone who can come in and run your team right away if you're going to give that much up whilst you use all those picks to set your team.
Final questions from Marcus, who says, if the Lions lose, what would be their downfall?
Not containing Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, Jared Goff just having a brain dead day where he throws 4 or 5 picks is also part of the wheelhouse of issues you can have, I guess.
They stop us running the ball. If they stop us running the ball, it increases the likelihoods of takeovers. It limits our time on the field. It gives them more time out there, and then it happens that way. I think that's the way they do it. It involves the run game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Asher's disappeared off, but I don't know why. He can come back on that if he wants to in a minute. I'm going to start signing off on the show because we've been going a while, and if Ash does come back in that time, then he can chat on that. So our next show on the main podcast is going to be the live play-by-play and reaction show on Sunday. So we're going to be live from about 4:15 Eastern Time, 9:15 UK time for Bills at Lions. It's going to be a great game, so can't wait for that. Monday's going to be the review show as normal. Boys, I'm not going to be available for the preview next week unless we can do something on Wednesday because of the funeral I'm going to on Friday and a work event the day before. So I apologise if that screws up with the college football stuff.
I mean, it's just the Bears preview, isn't it? It's like preview's going to be we're going to kick their ass. Preview done.
Yeah.
Fair. Anyway, we can get to that. But Ash, sorry, did you have any thinking about? Oh no, you kind of said not containing Josh Allen, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. College podcast back next week, and we talked about what you talked about last week. But next week, I guess you're going to be looking ahead to the college football playoffs.
Yeah, we're going to preview the playoffs, but we're also going to take an initial look at the draft as well. Because obviously a lot of players are declaring now, and it's quite weeks. There's no reviews to do. It's just the Army Navy game this weekend and a couple of bowl games. So there's going to be a big slate of the show open. So yeah, we're going to start talking draft. So any questions, anything, just let us know. I'm gonna start now. My book's ready to go. My book of my little Bible for this year.
The Bible.
Who's first up?
Oh God, who have I been talking about a lot this year? Oh, I don't know. It'll be someone like Sebastian Venn or something like that. I love my Yukon lineman. He's Christian Haynes this year. You will be fed up of hearing his name to the extent of Christian Haynes last year, but
Love it.
I mean, hey, he's good. He's like a 6'8" Austrian left tackle. He's amazing, but there'll be a lot of players in there, so we're going to start that.
Look forward to it. All right. You know where our socials are. We're All the Lions UK, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And the Facebook group for Worldwide Fans, Detroit Lions Fans UK, One Pride Worldwide. Ash's preview article going up tomorrow on ROTLUK.com. Many thanks to everyone in the chat for listening. You guys in the audio pod, appreciate you all very, very much. Anne and Ash, thank you for doing this with me. And we'll see you for the live show on Sunday, where hopefully the Lions can extend this winning run atop the NFL. Let's go Lions, One Pride.
One Pride.
Pride.
Recording stopped.